In the middle of the launch event for a luxury apartment complex, hyped up as a symbol of a green and humane future, Madame Enisun, the chairwoman of the group, was giving a speech in a bright red dress when a giant poster dropped straight down from above. It had some really harsh words on it. Cruel capitalist. Before the crowd could even process the message, a human figure plunged down from a high floor. Screams rang out and the guests panicked. The classy vibe suddenly turned into total chaos. But right after that, her son Ki-rin ran over to let everyone know that the figure wasn't a real person, it was just a dummy. With her trademark paranoid nature, Enisun didn't even take 3 seconds to figure out that the farmers protesting outside definitely couldn't come up with such a cinematic plot. Someone else had to be pulling the strings behind the scenes. Right then, everyone realized that the little boy, Kita, had gone missing at some point. Just when everyone was super worried, he showed up, holding hands with a beautiful random girl. The surprising thing was that he acted really close to this random girl. Normally, he was a very distant kid, and not just anyone could get close to him. But right now, Kita acted so close to her that when his dad walked up, he even stepped back a little. He only went back into his dad's arms after the girl gently talked him into it. This whole thing made Madame Enisun feel both thankful and on guard. That beautiful girl was Vila. When they asked where she worked so they could give her a quick cash reward, she politely turned it down, saying she was just a guest and didn't work for the group. This exact rejection made Madame Enisun even more suspicious. In her mind, a good person turning down a reward meant one of two things. They were either way too innocent or way too dangerous. And she didn't buy into innocence at all. Because of that, instead of giving her an envelope of cash, she invited her over for dinner. Vila happily accepted the invite, playing it cool as if everything was going exactly according to her plan. That's because the person who caused all that wild chaos at the event just a few minutes ago was none other than her. Her moves were so smooth and sneaky that nobody even suspected she had set up the whole thing. The very next day, just like she planned, she got invited to have dinner at the Liang Villa. As soon as she walked into the mansion, she said she felt like she was coming back to a very familiar place. That comment made everyone look at her in a really weird way. And Enisun's daughter didn't even try to hide the disgusted look on her face. She even started asking questions just to put Vila down right from the start. However, Vila fired back with a few sweet but cutting words, just enough to make those two rich girls mad without giving them any room to strike back. Once inside, her eyes scanned every corner like she was looking at a place she used to know really well. Her gaze stopped at Ki-rin's family picture frame. When she asked why his dad wasn't in the family photo, Ki-rin explained that he passed away 20 years ago, and his mom was so heartbroken that she put all his pictures away. Vila looked at him for a long time, then smiled and said, "You are so lucky." But then she smoothly added a totally cold line. "Are you planning to rely on that luck for your whole life? Because nothing lasts forever." Hearing that, Ki-rin suddenly froze. He looked super confused because he didn't get what she meant, but he still put on a nice, awkward smile just to brush it off. The climax of the dinner came just as out of nowhere as that falling poster at yesterday's event. Enisun personally carried a dish over to Vila, and then dumped it straight onto her head while everyone watched in total shock. She didn't beat around the bush and straight up said that Vila was the one behind yesterday's mess. Because with paranoia running deep in her blood, she had already sent her assistant, Pat, to look into her. And this guy found out that she had given cash to the protesters. And the picture he took was the proof that said it all. In her eyes, this was the perfect moment to expose this fake angel. But Vila didn't panic at all. She admitted to giving them money, but she explained it was cash from a charity fund she was working with, meant to help out people in need. She pulled out the full video to prove that she was telling the truth. Once the video played, the vibe in the room flipped so fast you could almost hear some people's egos shattering. Going from the accused, she suddenly became the victim of a misunderstanding. Guilty looks quickly replaced all the suspicious stares. After dropping a few polite but totally savage lines, Vila turned her back and walked away. Ki-rin rushed after her to apologize and offered to give her a ride home. She turned him down flat, saying she got there on her own, so she could go home on her own. And as she walked away, a satisfied smirk flashed across her face, the smile of someone moving their chess pieces exactly into the right spots. Back in her room, she pulled back the curtain hiding some old photos. The memories from 20 years ago came rushing back. She used to have a happy family and a sweet mom who loved her very much. That is, until the day her dad brought home a pregnant woman. Even though Ki-rin wasn't his biological son, her dad still decided to let the woman stay. That woman's arrival completely broke her mom's heart, and she passed away bitterly not long after that. From then on, her childhood turned into endless days of abuse and tears, and she got pushed aside in her very own home. That scheming woman from back then is none other than Enisun today. That stunning mansion today was the exact place where she grew up crying. 20 years have passed, and they might have already forgotten about her. But she never forgot about them. And Vila didn't come back this time just to take a walk down memory lane. She came back to take back everything that was stolen from her step by step. Thinking about all the things she had been through in that house, Vila couldn't keep her usual chill look anymore. Tears quietly rolled down her face. her best friend walked into the room, cutting off her flashbacks. Her friend asked if she had gone to Anai-san's house yet, so Vila quickly pulled herself together and let her know that the first part of the plan went perfectly smoothly. After that crazy dinner the other day, that guy Pat actually reached out to meet her. He brought along a check with enough money to make most people completely change their outlook on life, saying it was an apology on behalf of the chairwoman. But Vila said no. She accepted the apology emotionally, but she totally refused to take the cash. Her total lack of care about that massive amount of money left Pat super surprised. That chill vibe of hers accidentally made her seem way more interesting in his eyes. Ki-rin was sitting right behind the wall and accidentally overheard their entire conversation. Right at that moment, an assistant walked in and handed him a folder, and the document showed that their own company guys were the ones who cracked down on the protesters. Out of pure anger, he rushed straight home to confront his mom, but instead of having a serious talk, he walked in on a really sore-nice kind of scene. Madam Anai-san and Pat, her right-hand man, were getting way too touchy-feely for just a boss and employee relationship. Ki-rin pushed past the gross feeling and asked about them cracking down on the people. Pat quickly took the blame, saying he just wanted to handle it ahead of time to save his boss from losing any money. It sounded super loyal, but the way he talked back when reminded of his actual job gave off a totally different vibe. The sneaky look Pat gave Madam Anai-san was enough to make the word regular employee feel like a straight-up challenge. A huge argument between the mother and son blew up right after that. Not only did Anai-san refuse to back down, but she also defended Pat right to her son's face. It got so crazy that she even slapped her own son just for daring to insult the guy she favored. Before he could even cool off, he got a call from the school saying that his son, Kita, got into a fight with another kid. Ki-rin rushed over to pick up his kid. On the way home, the other kid's family blocked them and demanded that they settle the drama between the two boys. Things were getting really tense when Anai-san suddenly showed up. She didn't bother arguing or giving any long excuses. She simply whipped out a check with a number big enough to instantly calm down all their rage. Once they got home, she decided that her grandson, Kita, wasn't going back to that school anymore. In her eyes, modern education didn't have to happen inside a classroom, especially when that classroom could end up ruining the family's good name. Having a private tutor at home was both safer and way easier to control. You can always pass down knowledge, but you should always handpick the environment. Since he couldn't argue with his mom, the next day, Ki-rin hit up a friend to help him find a tutor for his son, and the sooner the better. While the family was sitting around waiting for the new tutor to arrive, his friend Peter walked in and told them he had found the perfect fit. A beautiful, familiar figure appeared at the front door. The girl walking in looking totally relaxed was none other than Vila. This time Vila didn't walk into a fake, polite vibe at the house, but instead got a greeting reeking of pure disrespect. The second she walked in, Madam Anai-san looked visibly pissed off. Before the resume in Vila's hand could even prove anything, it got tossed straight onto the floor. In her mind, every single thing Vila did up until now was super sketchy. She made it clear that she didn't owe her an apology, and then kicked her out the door quick and fast. That whole interview was shorter than the time it takes to make a cup of tea. Vila walked away looking really bummed out. But right as she stepped out the door, she bumped into Pat. He looked at her and made a sarcastic joke about how she must have totally bombed the interview. When Vila asked how he could be so sure, he just casually said he could guess the result just by looking at her face. Not stopping there, Pat kept poking fun at her and then started hitting on her, offering to help her score a good job with the right paycheck. The way he talked sounded like he was doing her a huge favor, all while his hands kept touching her in a totally disrespectful way. Unluckily for them, Ki-rin caught that entire scene on accident. But instead of just noticing how gross Pat was acting, Ki-rin started getting suspicious. Was Vila showing up here just a coincidence, or did she do it on purpose? The next day, Madam Anai-san and her son took Kita to a tutoring center to find a teacher that was exactly to their liking. Picking a teacher for the little boy was handled as carefully as if they were hiring a top-level CEO. However, after all that searching, little Kita came home acting super stubborn. Instead of someone calming him down, his aunt scolded him, calling him a bad kid because he didn't have a mom to raise him right. Those words hit him right where it hurt the most. His grandma didn't even try to stop it. Instead, she dragged him away, yelling at the top of her lungs. Kita cried his eyes out. Right then, an image flashed in his mind of his own mom being harshly yelled at by his grandma. Those memories had never faded away. They were just quietly hiding inside him. It made total sense why, even now, he didn't have any warm feelings for her at all. Aunt Nun, standing right next to them, just felt annoyed and helpless, so she quickly called her brother to come pick Kita up before things got any worse. Feeling unheard and uncomforted, Kita lost control, threw a toy at his grandma and ran away. And right at that moment he ran into Vila. In total contrast to all that loud drama just now, Vila calmly crouched down to his eye level. She didn't scold him or boss him around. She just patiently listened and gently comforted him. Thanks to her teaching skills and empathy, she helped Kita slowly calm down, which was something the adults in the house, despite all their status and power, had never been able to do. Ki-rin showed up and saw that whole scene. He couldn't hide his happiness, because his son was naturally very distant and rarely opened up to anyone. For the first time he saw his little boy truly connecting with someone else. Because of that, Ki-rin offered Vila the job to be Ki-ta's private tutor. But Vila didn't say yes right away. She sarcastically pointed out that he was a real mama's boy, so he probably didn't even have the power to make this call, especially since his mom totally disliked her in the first place. She also bluntly said that neither he nor his mom knew how to say thank you or I'm sorry at the right time. Before walking away, Vila made it clear that adults are role models for little kids. A child who suddenly loses a loved one will take a huge hit to their mental state and behavior. If the adults don't know how to keep their emotions in check around the boy, those wounds will only get carved even deeper. The next day, as soon as Madame and I-san arrived at the company for work, a mob of reporters instantly surrounded her for an interview. The reason came from a video going viral on social media, showing her yelling and getting aggressive with her grandson at the tutoring center earlier. The reporters kept firing questions, saying that kind of behavior didn't fit the image of a top-level boss like her, and even sparked doubts about her character and morals as a grandmother. The vibe got super tense as the questions dug deep into why she would treat her own flesh-and-blood grandson so roughly. Right at that moment, her son Ki-rin stepped up to handle the crisis. He pulled out another video which was the exact clip showing Vila helping Ki-ta calm down at the tutoring center the day before. Ki-rin smoothly steered the public opinion in a way that worked in his family's favor. He claimed that his mom was actually the one who cared deeply about her grandson, and she was the one who hired Vila as Ki-ta's tutor, hoping to help the boy get mentally stable. The video instantly turned the tables. From the image of a bossy, abusive grandmother, Madame and I-san was quickly rebranded as a loving grandma who worried about her grandson's growth. Taking this chance, he backed Madame and I-san into a corner, forcing her to hire Vila as Ki-ta's tutor. Seeming to catch on to her son's sneaky plan, she shot him a not-so-friendly glare. Right after that, Ki-rin tracked down Vila and directly asked her to accept the job as his son's tutor. However, Vila turned him down flat. She argued that Ki-rin used her image in the video without asking for permission, while also using her as a tool to whitewash his mom's image. It wasn't until Ki-rin said in a truly sincere voice that Ki-ta only let her get close, and that only she could help the boy be happy and stable again, that Vila slowly started to change her mind. Finally, she agreed with one condition. She would take the tutoring job if she got to move in and live right in their house. The very next day, just as agreed, Vila stood at Madame and I-san's front door with her suitcase. At that exact moment, the beautiful childhood memories with her mom suddenly flashed back in her mind. But her trip down memory lane was quickly cut off by Nun showing up. Nun straight up showed her disgust seeing Vila step into the house. She even coldly warned her that if Vila messed up even one single thing, she would get fired on the spot. Not stopping there, Nun also ordered the maid to take Vila's stuff down to the servants' quarters. Faced with that bossy and disrespectful attitude, Vila didn't look sad at all. On the contrary, she calmly replied that staying anywhere on the first day was fine, and they could talk about the room situation later. She also made it clear that she hadn't started working today yet, and then casually walked away, leaving off the vibe that she was actually the one calling the shots. That night, Vila was sitting in the living room, taking off her shoes to soothe her tired feet after a long day. Right then Pat showed up. He stood there staring at her with thirsty eyes, then stepped closer wanting to help massage her feet. Vila didn't say no. Instead, she purposely pulled her collar down a bit, giving him a look full of hidden meaning. Right at that moment, Madame and I-san walked in and witnessed the whole scene. She was super pissed off. Pat got awkward and quickly left, while Vila stood still with a chill, totally defiant attitude. A super tense conversation blew up between the two women. In the end, Vila straight up threatened that if she dared to fire her, she would tell her son that she just saw Pat walking out of his mom's bedroom. Whatever they were doing definitely wasn't regular business, because she was wearing a really sexy outfit. Scared that it would mess up her relationship with her son, Madame and I-san had to back down. Taking this chance, Vila demanded that she move her from the maid's room up to a guest room starting the very next day. Even though she was insanely mad, Madame and I-san had no other choice but to accept it. Staying in the house tied to her childhood, old memories kept popping up in Vila's mind. She remembered the time when she was little, seeing with her own eyes Madame and I-san sneaking around stealing her mom's jewelry. When Vila threatened to tell her dad the truth, she threw a massive fit, warning the little girl to keep her mouth shut if she didn't want to face way worse consequences. It wasn't just a verbal threat. She actually did something super cruel. She splashed boiling water right onto Vila. That exact incident was the reason she still carried a huge scar on her back up to this very day. After a night full of old memories rushing back, Vila showed up at the dining table the next morning looking totally chill. While pouring coffee, she accidentally spilled some on Madame and I-san's hand. The coffee had cooled down so it didn't burn her, but Vila still softly said, "Good thing the coffee was cold, or else you would have gotten burned." That loaded comment made Madame and I-san freeze up for a second. The two women looked at each other with sharp glares, neither trying to hide their rivalry. Right after that, Villa flipped her attitude, leaning down to wipe her hand looking all apologetic. However, Madame and I-san swatted her hand away and walked off. Right then Ki-rin walked over and asked what was going on. Villa calmly explained that she accidentally spilled the coffee and was about to go warm it back up. Ki-rin instantly stopped her, pointing out that she was hired to teach Kita, not to wait tables. He also told her she didn't need to stress over stuff like that. His caring vibe would make anyone watching melt, but for Villa, it did absolutely nothing. Leaving the house, Madame and I-san went to a jewelry center to fix a necklace. Over there, her daughter showed her a video about her dad with a catchy title, questioning the death of the tycoon Tot, and hinting at a possible murder. The video's content brought up old details tied to their family. Heading back to the office in a super angry mood, she immediately called her lawyer, demanding they find the person spreading the rumor and handle it legally. Ki-rin tried to calm his mom down, saying that famous people can hardly avoid rumors, and that the public would soon move on to another topic. However, Madame and I-san didn't agree. She argued that a reputation isn't something you can just test against rumors, and they absolutely had to find out who was behind it. Meanwhile, back at the house, Ella was tutoring Kita when two young girls showed up. They came with a clear goal of getting on the boys' good side and scoring points with Ki-rin. They took turns showing how much they cared, from asking about his homework to offering to take care of Kita. The vibe in the study room slowly felt more like an audition for future stepmom than a normal class. Around the same time, Ki-rin invited his friend Peter over to ask for more info about Villa. Peter said he met her in New Zealand, noticed she had great knowledge about kids, and asked to work with her. He also highly praised her skills and dedication. The info was pretty basic with nothing sketchy, but it still wasn't enough to totally wipe out Ki-rin's doubts. Things got a lot messier when Kita was brought out to the pool. The two girls purposely picked out flashy outfits hoping to catch Ki-rin's eye. However, he walked right past them looking totally unfazed, brushing past them like they didn't even exist right in front of him. That cold shoulder made them really unhappy. When they didn't get what they wanted, both of them started throwing shade at each other. The bickering quickly turned into a shoving match. While tussling, they accidentally pushed Kita into the pool. Luckily, Villa was carrying food out to the backyard right then. The second she saw the tiny figure struggling in the water, she didn't even think twice. She instantly jumped into the pool and pulled the boy up to the edge. But instead of a thank you for saving a life, she got hit with accusing stares. Madame and I-san's family quickly gathered around like they were holding an emergency trial. Those two girls sat up straight on their chairs, taking turns bragging about how well they had taken care of the boy. And of course, the blame for the screw-up got passed entirely onto Villa, using the excuse that she wasn't watching the boy carefully. Without even listening to an explanation, Madame and I-san instantly concluded that Villa was the one who caused the whole thing. She even accused her of slandering her guests. Villa fiercely fired back that if she actually cared about her grandson, she should look straight at the truth instead of defending irresponsible people and blaming someone who did nothing wrong. Those words didn't make her rethink things at all. The reply was a hard slap straight to the face. Those two girls jumped for a second, then quickly got their smug looks back. That slap accidentally dragged out old memories. When she was little, Villa was the one who saved her kid from a stroller that almost rolled into the lake. But instead of saying thanks, she accused her and her mom of purposely trying to hurt the baby. Her dad back then didn't listen to a single word of explanation and instantly believed the accusation. The present was repeating the past like a bitter, vicious cycle. The vibe in the house was as tense as a tight string when Ki-rin showed up. He said that he had already heard the boy tell the whole story, and even checked the security cameras. Everything the boy said was the total truth. Villa had nothing to do with the accident. The two mean girls started getting nervous, but Ki-rin announced he would let it slide because luckily, the boy wasn't in any real danger. His friend Peter instantly asked why he didn't check the cameras before questioning the boy. Ki-rin explained that he wanted the boy to learn how to speak the truth and protect innocent people. And in this story, Villa was totally not at fault. You would think the truth was crystal clear, but Madame and I-san didn't change her prejudice against Villa one bit. She was dead set on kicking Villa out of the house. Hearing that, the two girls flashed a winning smile, acting like the thorn in their side had finally been pulled out. Villa stood there so mad she was speechless, but there was nothing else she could do. She quietly packed her stuff, grabbed her suitcase, and got ready to leave. Ki-rin tried to talk his mom into changing her mind, but she was dead set on her decision. Right at that moment, an elderly woman with a beautiful, kind face showed up. Everyone acted super respectful, even the usually bossy Madame and I-san. She said she came over to talk business with Ki-rin, but she happened to find out that Madame Paloy's granddaughter was also here, and it was her granddaughter who caused trouble for Villa. That just wasn't fair. She asked Madame and I-san to rethink her decision. After that, she turned to Villa and gently told her to put her luggage away. Madame and I-san looked super annoyed but couldn't argue with her. That kind-hearted woman was Madame Nami, the grandmother of Ki-rin's late wife. And her showing up made the whole dynamic in this house start to shift. After the pool incident, little Kita stepped up and apologized for not being able to help his teacher. However, Vila felt like she was the one who needed to say thank you, because it was exactly what the boy said that cleared her name. Hearing that, Kita looked totally confused and swore he never said anything to his dad. This left Vila feeling pretty puzzled. Right at that moment, Kirin showed up. He calmly said that she should be happy the boy knew how to apologize, and it would just take some time for him to open up and talk more. Vila thanked him for going out of his way to help her, but at the same time she called him out for installing cameras to spy on her. Kirin didn't deny it, but he made it clear that putting up cameras was only to keep his son safe. He fired back, asking if the reason she was so scared of the cameras was that she was trying to hide something. Before Vila could even scramble for an answer, he stepped closer. The space between them closed up so much that she almost slipped and fell into the pool. Kirin quickly grabbed her waist to catch her. That was the first time the two of them ever had such close physical contact. The way he looked at her was full of deep feelings, and the vibe got heavy with romantic tension. In that quiet moment, Vila suddenly remembered the past, when everyone doubted her and turned their backs on her, but he was the only one who believed in her. Kirin said that no matter how much she doubted his intentions, he would still help her with total sincerity. The reason he helped her was simply because she had saved Kita, and he just wanted to return the favor. The next day, over at the Sutta group, Madame Inaisun looked insanely mad when she noticed it seemed like everyone was secretly going against her decisions. Even Madame Nami planned to step in and help. Vila assistant Pat pointed out that the woman was getting suspicious about the death of her granddaughter Jingrook. Hearing that, Madame Inaisun's face instantly went dark. She ordered her assistant not to bring up the dead, saying it was bad luck. Meanwhile, Madame Nami had a private meeting with Vila. She bluntly shared her suspicions about her granddaughter's death. At first, when Jingrook passed away, she didn't suspect a thing. But later on, she found out her granddaughter had secretly transferred all her shares to Kirin without giving her a heads up. On top of that, the Li Sutta family kept taking over her business operations. Because of all that, Madame Nami believed that her granddaughter's death wasn't that simple. The whole reason she helped Vila keep her job in that family was so she could stay there and secretly dig up the truth behind it all. Vila asked straight up why she should agree to team up. Madame Nami's answer left her with no room to argue. She said she had already looked into her past. She knew Vila was an orphan, but she totally left that out of her resume. Furthermore, she could see the pure hatred in her eyes for the Li Sutta family, especially toward Madame Inaisun. Even so, Vila calmly replied that having the same enemy didn't mean they had the same goal. She needed some time to think about that partnership offer. The next day, while Vila was putting her heart into tutoring Kita, Kirin happened to walk by. Seeing the big one and the little one sitting next to each other, super focused on every single letter, the corners of his mouth naturally curled up into a soft smile. That was a rare, peaceful moment amidst all the mess going on around his family. But that sweet vibe vanished in a flash when the two bumped into each other in the kitchen. Vila talked to him without even looking at him once. That cold shoulder made Kirin think she was mad at him. He flat out asked what was bugging her, but Vila dropped a totally icy line saying he wasn't a murderer, so why should she be scared of him? Kirin's face changed instantly. He stepped closer, grabbed her hand tight, his voice full of held-back emotion. He made it clear that he wasn't a saint, but he definitely wasn't some guy who went around killing people for no reason, so she needed to stop giving him such a cruel look. Vila just coldly replied that if he had never done anything evil, there was nothing to be scared of, and then casually walked away, leaving him standing there with a heavy gaze. Right as she stepped out the door, she ran into that pretty but mean girl. The vibe between the two of them instantly got as tense as a piano wire. After throwing a few harsh words back and forth, she got mad and raised her hand, about to slap Vila. But Vila calmly reminded her that this house was packed with cameras, advising her to use her brain and think before acting if she still wanted to keep up her good image in front of Kirin. After saying that, she turned her back and walked away looking totally smug. Right at that moment, Madame Inaisun showed up. That girl tried to take the chance to tattle, saying she saw Vila and her son getting real cozy with each other. But before the words could even leave her mouth, Kirin walked over, ruining her chance to make up any extra drama. That night, Kirin went to the bar his mom invested in to check if Pat was using her money for any illegal business. While there, he unexpectedly bumped into Vila. He looked clearly surprised, like he never thought she would show up in a place like that. But Vila casually replied that if he could come, she could too. She even sarcastically asked if he was the kind of boss who banned his employees from having a personal life. That line left Kirin completely speechless for a second. When Pat saw Vila, he was super surprised. He walked over to sit at her table, poured some drinks, and acted really buddy-buddy with her. Watching all of that go down made Kirin feel really uncomfortable. A weird, frustrating feeling bubbled up inside him, an emotion he probably couldn't even put a name to yet. When Pat was dropping some flirty lines on Vila, one of his goons came running over in a panic, saying the cops were raiding the bar. That news sent a shockwave through the whole place. Pat totally panicked, his face changing colors. But right in the middle of all that chaos, Vila flashed a sneaky little smile, like she already knew something was about to go down. Just a few minutes before the cops busted into the bar, Pat straight up beat down a guy just because of some sarcastic comments calling him someone who hides behind a woman's skirt. And now with the cops showing up, the guy who was just acting all tough instantly switched to panic mode. He quickly ordered his goons to drag the victim away to dodge any trouble. That damage control move happened pretty fast, but not fast enough to slip past Ki-rin's eyes. As soon as those two guys in black left the bar, Ki-rin quietly tailed them, trying to see where they were taking that guy. However, Peter grabbed him just in time and dropped a way bigger piece of news. The bar was in massive trouble. After searching the place, the cops found a ton of violations, way too many underage customers under 20, and bootleg liquor everywhere. His friend also warned him that Ki-rin and his mom were probably about to face some major heat over this bar. Heading back home, Ki-rin immediately confronted his mom about Pat. He stressed that Pat was her employee but was out there openly breaking the law. He made his disgust crystal clear, demanding that the guy never set foot in their house again and stay completely out of the company's business. However, his mom's reaction was the exact opposite. She defended Pat, claiming he was her close confidant, and told her son to stop trying to drive a wedge between them. She also coldly declared that she wasn't someone who could easily get played. After that, she walked off, leaving Ki-rin standing there looking obviously disappointed. Right then, Vila popped up behind him and dropped a soft but totally mocking comment. Maybe in his mom's eyes, he wasn't as important as Pat. She even sarcastically added that his words meant absolutely nothing to Madame and I's son. After saying that, she turned to leave, but Ki-rin grabbed her arm, demanding to know how she managed to leave the bar when the cops had it locked down. Earlier, he had asked Peter about why someone would be allowed to leave the bar early, and his buddy told him the only reason a person could dip out in that kind of situation was if they were the one who called the cops in the first place. Carrying that suspicion, he asked Vila what kind of ties she had with the police. She didn't give him a straight answer. Instead, she advised him to get a good night's sleep because there might be some huge surprises in the morning papers. She also made a point that money can't cover up public opinion forever. Her words were calm but super loaded, and then she walked away, leaving him standing there with even more questions. The next morning at the Sutta group, Pat walked out of Madame and I's son's office looking completely pissed off. The second he saw Vila, he instantly suspected she was the one who called the cops, because someone told him she was the first person to leave the bar. Vila casually explained that she knew a cop, so she got to leave early. With just a few slick words, she shifted the suspicion onto Ki-rin. She even brought up the huge argument from last night between him and his mom regarding Pat. It was a simple piece of logic, but it was enough to plant the seeds of doubt. Meanwhile, in his private office, Ki-rin told his sister that Vila was just a chess piece. He was keeping her around to make his mom realize that Pat wasn't sincere, and that the guy could easily go around flirting with other women. Once Pat was out of the picture, Vila would be useless too. Carrying a mood messed up by these totally contradictory words, he went home and saw Vila putting her whole heart into taking care of Kita. But instead of saying thanks, he warned her that just because she was taking good care of the kid didn't mean she had a free pass to get close to anyone else in the house, especially the two of them. His tone sounded like a warning, but you could also catch a hint of jealousy that was pretty hard to hide. Vila didn't react harshly. She just gave a little smile and replied that she would consider getting close to someone if that person was useful enough to her. After saying that, she calmly turned back to the little boy. While everyone else was busy playing mind games and keeping score, she somehow kept this surprisingly chill vibe. Or simply put, she understood that in a chess game with many moves, you don't always need to rush to show your cards. A little while later, Ki-rin held up a drawing his son had just finished. The drawing showed 3 people standing next to each other. He pointed at the woman in the picture and asked if that was his mom. The kid shook his head, smiled, and said it was Ms. Vila. The crazy thing was, Ki-rin didn't get mad that the woman in the drawing wasn't his wife. On the contrary, he actually felt relieved seeing his son finally smiling again after shutting everyone out for so long. In this situation, the kid's smile mattered way more than who got the honor of being in the drawing. That brief moment of joy was quickly cut short when Madame and I's son walked over, snatched the drawing right out of her grandson's hands, and scolded him for drawing another woman. The boy got scared and sadly hugged the drawing as he ran upstairs to his room. A drawing was just a way for a kid to show his feelings, but adults somehow found a way to turn it into a huge deal. Vila then went up to his room to comfort the little boy. She patiently helped him calm down, and then casually tidied up the place. While doing that, she found another drawing, but this time the boy drew his biological mom and his grandma. However, the way they were drawn made her feel like something was definitely off. She didn't jump to conclusions right away. Instead, she decided to test the waters and see Madame and I's son's reaction. Using the excuse of bringing her some tea and giving an update on his tutoring, Vila smoothly showed her the drawing. Madame and I's son glanced at it with a totally straight face, not showing any weird emotions at all. That calm vibe was either a sign that she was totally innocent, or just the result of years of experience hiding her true feelings. For now, it was impossible to tell. Carrying those doubts, Vila went home to talk things over with her best friend. After that, The two of them set up a plan so that Ki-rin would accidentally overhear a reporter saying he had proof that Madame and I-sun was the one behind the investigated nightclub. The results came way faster than they expected. The very next day, Madame and I-sun held a press conference, claiming she had nothing to do with it and throwing all the blame onto Pat, who was confirmed to be the actual owner of the club. Just when it seemed like everything was perfectly sorted out, an old couple suddenly showed up holding a funeral portrait and flowers. They demanded justice for their son, who was brutally beaten at the club and died right after. Pat's face went completely pale when the dad pulled out a phone with a video showing him beating up the victim. Faced with straight-up proof, he had absolutely no way to deny it. The old couple was in so much pain that they charged at him and started beating him right in the middle of the press conference, turning an already tense scene into total chaos. A little while later, inside the office, Pat and Madame and I-sun got into a massive screaming match, pointing fingers and blaming each other for the mess. He swore he would track down whoever leaked that video and put him in this mess. Very quickly after that, the reporter who leaked the video was found. Pat and his goons beat him to a pulp, leaving his face covered in blood. From the reporter's own mouth, Pat figured out that P-Rai was the missing link. The next day, P-Rai got blocked by two gangsters on the street. She tried to make a run for it but unluckily tripped and fell. Just as the fat guy was about to attack, someone dressed in black showed up and took him down with one quick strike. That person was none other than Vila. The two losers went back to report their failure and got ruthlessly chewed out by Pat. In his fit of rage, he suspected that Ki-rin was the one working with the reporter, because everything just seemed to happen at the exact perfect time. He didn't stop there. Pat sent his guys to keep an eye on P-Rai's house. When Vila came over to grab some stuff for her friend, she noticed someone tailing her, so she had to slip out the back door. After that, she brought the bag of stuff to her friend. P-Rai decided to lay low for a while to avoid trouble, which was a super smart move considering personal safety wasn't exactly a sure thing anymore. While walking back home, Vila bumped into Ki-rin. Even though she didn't want to, he stubbornly pulled her into his car. While they were driving, they noticed a white car tailing them from behind. The car suddenly sped up, passed them, and then cut them off right in the front. Three thugs in black shirts stepped out of the car looking super aggressive and charged straight at Ki-rin. Even though Ki-rin had that pretty boy look that made people think he was only good for standing around looking handsome, in reality, he still managed to throw some pretty decent counterattacks. Sadly, 3 against 1 never ends well, so it wasn't long before he had to take full-on punches and kicks from those 3 big guys. Seeing things going south, Ki-rin grabbed Vila and made a run for it into the woods. However, they only made it a little way before the 3 thugs caught up to them. Ki-rin instantly told Vila to run and find help, while he stayed behind to block their path. But a chubby guy quickly used a weapon to slash his arm, draining almost all of Ki-rin's ability to fight back. Vila had no choice but to run and cry for help. Ironically, the very first person she ran into was Pat. From a distance, she accidentally overheard a conversation between him and his goon, which let her know he was the one pulling the strings behind this attack. Even so, Vila stayed super chill and pretended like she didn't hear a thing, then ran over to ask for help with a totally professional, panicked look on her face. Pat was just as quick to play his part, instantly rushing over to rescue Ki-rin while secretly signaling his guys to fall back. Not long after, Ki-rin was taken to the hospital. Beside his hospital bed, Madame and I-sun kept thanking Pat nonstop, saying if he hadn't shown up in time, she didn't even want to know what would have happened to her son. Vila knew the whole truth but still kept her mouth shut, standing there like a forced audience member watching a play where she was the only one who actually knew the real plot. After everyone left, Ki-rin finally turned to thank Vila. He said the person who actually saved him was her, not Pat. He was also curious and asked if she had ever learned martial arts because the way she fought off those thugs was pretty pro. Vila just calmly replied that since she had to live alone from a young age, fighting back pretty much became her survival instinct. If it weren't for that, she probably wouldn't be standing here casually peeling fruit for him right now. While handing the fruit to Ki-rin, their hands accidentally touched. That moment made the vibe in the hospital room freeze for a few seconds, like some kind of totally different feeling was quietly blooming between them. They both quickly pulled their hands away when little Kita suddenly woke up, accidentally breaking that slightly awkward moment. That night, Ki-rin sent his guys to track down the 3 thugs who attacked him. It didn't take long for him to find out they were actually Pat's goons. So the next morning, when Pat came to visit and acted super caring about his condition, Ki-rin fired back with a totally sarcastic tone. He said his wounds hurt a lot like getting bitten by a dog, and to make it worse it was a dog raised right inside his own house so he was totally caught off guard. Hearing those words, Pat's face instantly went dark, but he had to swallow his anger because he couldn't do anything to Ki-rin. In another corner of the house, Vila quietly sneaked into the storage room to find some of her old toys. Unluckily, the maid spotted her and instantly ran to snitch to Madame and I-sun. Because of that, right when Vila stepped out, Madame and I-sun was already standing right in front of her, looking at her like she had just caught a thief. Vila explained that she just wanted to grab some toys that were still in good shape to use for teaching Kita. But Madame and I-sun flat out refused to let her take those old things away. The two of them even started pulling on the toy in Violet's hand, making the whole scene look exactly like two little kids fighting over a toy on the playground. In the end, not wanting to blow things out of proportion, Violet let go and turned to walk away. Noticing she looked pretty upset, Ki-rin followed her and explained that those toys actually belonged to the daughter of his dad's ex-wife. Since both that mother and daughter had left, his mom always carried a lot of guilt, which was why she reacted like that. Ki-rin even said that if one day Aunt Tianai and Hatai were still alive and came back, he would be totally willing to give the house and everything else right back to them. The ironic part was that Ki-rin had absolutely no clue that the person standing right in front of him was actually the little girl Hatai from back then, the exact person he always talked about. Right while they were talking, the maid came running over in a panic, saying his mom was out in the yard burning those toys. Ki-rin immediately ran outside and confronted his mom about why she was doing that. He asked her straight up if she had ever truly felt guilty toward Aunt Tianai and Hatai, or if her heart was just full of pure hatred for them. Madame and I-sun coldly replied that she was only doing this because Ki-rin kept digging up stuff she wanted to forget, so she decided to wipe out everything that made her remember the past. That whole intense conversation between the mother and son was quietly watched by Violet from a distance. She didn't say a word, just silently watched it all go down, like someone who understood the whole story better than anyone else but couldn't speak up. The next day at a coffee shop, Violet reached out to meet Pat, using the excuse that she wanted to thank him for jumping in to save her and Ki-rin during that fight earlier. The thank you sounded pretty polite on the surface, but Pat clearly took it in a very flexible direction. He gave a half smirk and said she probably didn't just want to say thanks with a simple cup of coffee, and that there was maybe some other special gift waiting for him. The way he dropped those hints made it super obvious to anyone listening that he was being way too confident in his own charm. That night, Pat actually showed up at Violet's room, seemingly to collect his thank you gift. Violet still acted super chill, and even opened the door to let him in. However, she quickly made up an excuse that she had to go upstairs to help little Kita go to sleep, telling him to just go inside and wait. Pat obviously agreed super fast because in his head, he had probably already written out the ending to this whole story. But right after Violet walked away, she showed up again looking totally different. Her hair was a bit messy, her eyes looked panicked, and she looked exactly like someone who had just been harassed. A totally staged caught in the act scene quickly played out, throwing the whole house into absolute chaos like a poked beehive. Taking advantage of the fact that everyone was distracted by that drama, Violet quietly sneaked into Madame and I-sun's room to search for documents related to the bribery she had been hiding. She quickly used her phone to snap pictures of the important papers. However, while she was digging around, she found something way more surprising. Her dad's will. When she saw her dad's blood test results from right before he died, Violet started getting suspicious about his death. According to the test results, his condition got drastically worse in a super short amount of time. That made her feel like something was definitely off, because she remembered crystal clear that when she was a kid, her mom was super careful about her dad's diet and health. If that was true, it was really hard to believe his illness could go downhill that fast unless someone purposely messed with it. Not only that, she was also getting suspicious about the will, because the lawyer who had just helped Madame and I-sun finish the paperwork to transfer all of her dad's assets into her name suddenly passed away right after that. This crazy coincidence made Violet even more convinced that there might be a massive secret hiding behind her dad's death. After snapping pictures of all the documents, Violet went back to her room and kept playing the part of a victim who had just been harassed. Standing in front of everyone with teary eyes, she begged Pat to never bother her again. Even though he was actually the one who got set up by her in this situation, he wouldn't be able to explain himself even if he had 10 mouths. Madame and I-sun's anger instantly blew up. Pat was so mad his face turned bright red, and he was about to lay a hand on Violet, but Ki-rin stepped up first. With just a few simple moves, he left Pat so dazed that he couldn't even stand straight. In the end, under pressure from Madame and I-sun, Pat was forced to apologize to Violet. Even though he was probably fuming with anger on the inside, he still had to reluctantly spit out an apology in front of everyone. A little while later, when things had somewhat cooled down, Ki-rin went down to the kitchen and caught Violet looking at her phone, smiling pretty happily. That sight definitely made him raise an eyebrow. It was honestly a bit hard to understand how someone who had just been harassed could stand there holding her phone and smiling so casually. Ki-rin immediately stopped her and flat out brought up his suspicions. He asked if she was really just here to tutor Kita, or if she had some other hidden agenda. He said he knew Pat really well. Even if that guy was into Violet without some kind of green light from her, he absolutely wouldn't dare to just walk into her room on his own. Ki-rin even said straight up that something like that could only happen if someone purposely gave him the opportunity. Actually, Ki-rin had accidentally overheard the conversation between Violet and Pat at the coffee shop the other day. But completely contrary to his suspicions, Violet stayed surprisingly chill. Without looking worried or flustered at all, she just looked at him with total confidence and said that everything she did was only to protect herself. While the family drama hadn't even had a chance to settle down yet, another massive crisis hit the group. The construction site for their luxury apartment complex suddenly caught on fire, and the flames even spread to the surrounding apartments, causing some serious damage. In no time at all, the news was all over the TV and news sites, taking a huge toll on the company's image. Faced with that mess, Madame Ai-sun and her son were totally stressed out, sitting around brainstorming forever, but still couldn't come up with a solid way to fix it. Right at that moment, Vila walked over and threw out a pretty crowd-pleasing idea. They should host a charity fundraiser to help out the victims of the fire. It sounded totally reasonable, but Madame Ai-sun instantly shot it down. The reason was super simple. She absolutely did not want to pull money out of her own pocket for charity. However, Nun, who was sitting right next to her, quickly pointed out that they didn't necessarily have to use cash. Just auctioning off a few items she didn't love anymore could easily bring in a pretty decent amount. That advice sounded pretty solid, especially for people who wanted to do charity work while keeping their wallets totally safe. The very next day, the auction was set up in a pretty grand way. The items Madame Ai-sun prepared to auction off were just a few old pairs of shoes and handbags that were clearly no longer on her favorites list. Their value was also at the absolute bottom of her collection. Looking at that stuff, even the maid standing nearby couldn't help but roll her eyes. Vila stood there looking at these hand-me-downs, but a pretty hard-to-read smile popped up on her lips. When the auction officially kicked off, the black cloth covering the table was pulled away. But what showed up in front of everyone was absolutely not the stuff Madame Ai-sun had picked out earlier. Sitting on the table right now was her most precious jewelry, especially the diamond necklace she absolutely adored, which was usually kept locked up tight in her safe. Madame Ai-sun practically jumped out of her seat, ready to rush up and snatch her stuff back. But her two kids quickly held her back and told her to chill out. They explained that by now, everything had already been caught on camera and filmed by the press and the guests. If she suddenly grabbed it back, it would be exactly like embarrassing herself in front of the media. Because of that, even though it hurt her heart like it was being sliced into pieces, Madame Ai-sun had to sit still, pasting a fake corporate smile on her face. The truth was Vila had managed to get her safe's password earlier. Taking advantage of a moment when nobody was looking, she quietly took out the most expensive jewelry set. It was actually the exact diamond jewelry set her dad had given her mom on their wedding day. But after that woman showed up in her dad's life, she snatched that jewelry set too. Because of that, when the jewelry set went up for auction, even though the price kept getting driven sky high, Vila was still dead set on winning it back. Finally, she dropped a bid of 2 million, a number that sent the whole room into a buzzing frenzy. With that massive amount of money, she successfully bought back the jewelry set. Madame Ai-sun was so mad her face turned purple, but in front of the media and the guests, she had no other choice but to reluctantly hand the diamond necklace over to Vila. The two of them had another silent little tug of war, but this time, the one who had to let go first was Madame Ai-sun. When the event wrapped up, a local representing the families hit by the fire stepped up to say thank you. The old lady even brought a batch of homemade curry to give Madame Ai-sun as a sign of appreciation. But Madame Ai-sun's face clearly showed total disgust, acting like she had just been handed something that absolutely didn't match her fancy designer outfit. While fumbling around awkwardly, the old lady accidentally spilled a little bit of the food onto Madame Ai-sun's crazy expensive clothes. Just that alone was enough to make her blow her top. She glared and totally went off on the poor old lady, even getting so mad that she tossed the rest of the food right onto her. Seeing things starting to spiral out of control, Ki-rin instantly signaled the staff to cut the live stream. But with just a super subtle nod from Vila, the cameras were flipped right back on. And of course, that entire ugly scene and Madame Ai-sun's totally snobby attitude got broadcasted to the world. A charity auction that was supposed to save the company's image ended up turning into the most raw, unfiltered promo video of the boss's true personality. After the auction, Madame Ai-sun stormed straight to Viola's room with one crystal-clear goal: getting back that diamond necklace she treated like an absolute treasure. She tried every trick in the book to negotiate, from using sweet talk to throwing out cash offers to buy the necklace back. However, no matter how high she bumped up the price, Vila flat out refused. When she saw that talking wasn't getting her anywhere, Madame Ai-sun actually tried to lunge forward and snatch the necklace back. Luckily, right at that moment Ki-rin managed to hold his mom back, telling her to just let him handle it. But Vila totally played it cool, announcing that Ki-rin wasn't going to be able to buy the necklace off her either. She dropped a super loaded hint, saying that maybe this necklace was just waiting for its rightful owner to come pick it up, which was exactly why she had to win it at the auction no matter what. After that, she even told Ki-rin he should drop the idea of buying the necklace back, and instead focus more on his mom, especially on checking out how fiercely the public was dragging Madame Ai-sun online after yesterday's auction. Vila called it perfectly. The very next morning when Madame Ai-sun showed up at work, she got completely mobbed by reporters grilling her about acting so snobby toward poor people at the charity event. It didn't even stop there. An angry local straight up dumped an entire bucket of stinky tofu all over her. The stench of that biological weapon was so notoriously sticky that she could probably shower for days and still not scrub the smell off. But Madame Ai-sun's bad luck wasn't over yet. Right after that, she got word that someone had their hands on hard evidence regarding the fire at the company's construction site. The guy demanded that she pay up and compensate the families affected by the fire. Otherwise, he was going to leak all the evidence to the public. Freaking out over the whole mess, she immediately ordered Pat to keep it totally under wraps and absolutely not let anyone find out, especially Ki-rin. Meanwhile, Ki-rin was also quietly having his people look into the cause of the fire. The results showed that during construction, someone had purposely used cheap, low-grade electrical wires, which sparked the fire. However, right after that, he got a heads up from his mom that some guy had already stepped up and confessed to starting the fire. This super fast coincidence made Villa feel like something was definitely off, like someone was pulling the strings to cover up the real truth. She bluntly shared her suspicions with Ki-rin. She even sarcastically pointed out that while she didn't have any inside intel on the company, Ki-rin was different. He had all the data and full access to everything. Because of that, he really needed to ask himself whether her suspicions were actually right or wrong. Villa even dropped a blunt question that left Ki-rin totally speechless. Did he honestly believe a word his mom was saying? Ki-rin just stood there, his mind a total mess. That night, Madame and I-sun and Pat were sitting around drinking wine, celebrating the fact that they had dodged a massive bullet for the time being. They were thrilled because all it took was dropping a little bit of cash to find some fall guy willing to go to jail for them. To them, it seemed like a pretty small price to pay to keep everything swept under the rug. But that celebration didn't last long before Pat got a phone call from some anonymous guy. The guy demanded that they hand over 20 million in cash. Otherwise, all their dirty evidence about construction bribery was getting exposed. What they didn't know was that the anonymous guy was actually Villa. She had used voice-changing tech to disguise her voice, since she had already snapped pictures of Madame and I-sun's bribery evidence earlier. Now she was using that exact evidence to squeeze them, forcing them to cough up the cash to compensate the locals. After that phone call, Madame and I-sun was so stressed out she couldn't even sit still. However, with her sneaky nature, the fact that she agreed to pay up so fast wasn't just because she was scared. She really wanted to find out exactly who was pulling the strings. So when she got to the drop-off spot, she purposely hung around nearby to spy on whoever showed up to grab the cash. While she was watching like a hawk, a guy suddenly showed up, walked right over to where the suitcase of cash was sitting, and picked it up. But the thing that completely blew Madame and I-sun's mind was that the guy holding the suitcase was actually her own son, Ki-rin. After that, she rushed right over to her son, aggressively asking him why the hell he would do something like that. She even warned him that if she called the cops, this whole thing was going to blow up in everyone's faces. However, Ki-rin calmly fired back that she wouldn't dare do that, because the second the cops got involved, all of their own shady business would get dragged out into the light too. Seeing the totally suspicious look in his mom's eyes, he explained that he wasn't blackjacking anybody. Earlier, some stranger had called, texted, and sent him a video, telling him that if he showed up here, he'd finally find out the truth. That was the exact reason he was standing there. Right while the mother and son were still going back and forth, someone dressed in black riding a massive, heavy motorcycle suddenly sped right up to them. In the blink of an eye, the bag of cash in Pat's hands got snatched away. Nobody saw it coming, but the gorgeous woman riding that bike actually handed the suitcase full of cash straight over to Villa. After that, she used every last cent of that money, all under the name of the Seduces group, to pay off the locals who had been affected by the fire earlier. After getting back home, Ki-rin was feeling incredibly down about the whole situation with his mom, so he turned to alcohol. While he was sitting all alone by the pool, Villa walked over. The two of them started talking in a pretty chill way. This was probably the very first time they ever had a conversation without the vibe being super tense like it usually was. For the first time, Ki-rin opened up about all the heavy pressure his mom had dumped on his shoulders over the years, along with his deep lingering guilt about the little girl Ha-tai. He said that if Ha-tai was still alive and somehow came back one day, he was totally ready to hand back every single thing that originally belonged to her. Hearing him pour his heart out like that, Villa couldn't help but let a few tears fall. She softly comforted him, saying that Ha-tai probably wouldn't blame him anyway, since back then, neither of them had any power to change a thing. Just as Villa was about to stand up and leave, Ki-rin suddenly pulled her back, leaning in to give her a kiss. But Villa quickly pushed him away, telling him he needed to cool off, because she wasn't Ha-tai. It was just a short line, but it was strong enough to snap Ki-rin right back to reality. The next morning, Villa brought a gift box over to Madame and I-sun, saying someone had mailed a package to wish her a happy birthday. However, the second she opened the box, Madame and I-sun completely freaked out and threw it straight onto the floor. Sitting inside was a super creepy gift that clearly carried a curse. Her face went completely dark with anger as she assumed Villa was absolutely the one who sent it. In her eyes, aside from Villa, there was probably nobody else enthusiastic enough to pull a stunt like that. Villa quickly defended herself, explaining that this had absolutely nothing to do with her. A bit later, while Villa was in the kitchen, Pat hunted her down again and started dropping some heavy threats. Luckily, Ki-rin showed up right on time to bail her out. When Ki-rin reached out to grab the gift box to throw it away, his and Viola's hands accidentally brushed against each other. Both of them instantly flashed back to what had gone down by the pool the night before. The vibe in the room suddenly got super quiet in a pretty suspicious way. Right at that moment, little Kita came running over, which made the two of them panic and quickly pull their hands apart, acting like they had just touched something totally scandalous. The next day, Pat did some digging and found out that the person who actually sent that cursed gift was Madame Nami. Hearing that, Madame and I-san immediately marched straight over to Madame Nami's place to have a word with her. But as soon as she got there, she overheard a group of people totally talking trash about her. They were throwing major shade, saying she was just like a rotting corpse. Even if you plated her in gold, you still couldn't cover up the stench. Hearing that totally set Madame and I-san off. She stormed right over and tossed water onto one of the people in the group. Madame Nami had to smooth things over with a few clever words to get those people to leave, and then she stood there all alone, facing Madame and I-san's absolute rage. Madame Nami bluntly admitted that she was indeed the one who sent the gift. She simply wanted to remind Madame and I-san about her unfortunate granddaughter. She even added that if Madame and I-san was already dropping cash on charity to scrub her own sins clean, she should probably send some of those good vibes over to her granddaughter, the one who had signed all her shares over to Ki-rin. Right while the two of them were talking, Vila showed up. She acted totally surprised, like she never expected to bump into Madame and I-san at a place like this. But the second Madame and I-san laid eyes on her, she got even more furious. She figured Vila was clearly on Madame Nami's side, that she knew exactly where the gift came from but played dumb the whole time. Blinded by her anger, she tried to lunge forward and slap Vila right across the face. But Vila was quick. She blocked her hand and shoved it right back. She totally kept her cool, telling her that just because she paid her to work, it didn't give her a free pass to hit her. And she made it crystal clear one more time that she had absolutely no clue about that cursed gift. Madame Nami spoke up right then, explaining that she only called Vila over to talk about her grandson Kita, and she had absolutely nothing to do with that gift. Actually, the real reason she called Vila over was to ask for her help in finding out the truth about her granddaughter's death. Later, when Vila got back home, she happily played around with little Kita. The two of them laughed and talked so freely, as if all the tension in this house had temporarily vanished. Right at that moment, Ki-rin showed up. Seeing Vila and Kita laughing so carefree like that, he quietly pulled out his phone to record it, as if wanting to keep that rare moment as a memory. However, Vila quickly caught him. She immediately demanded that Ki-rin delete the video, because he recorded her without even asking for permission. Ki-rin helplessly had to delete the video right in front of her, even though his face clearly showed how bummed out he was. He said it was a real shame he couldn't keep that moment of her smiling so naturally, because to him it seemed like only when she was around Kita did Vila truly act like herself. No hiding, no keeping her guard up, and not carrying any heavy secrets. Hearing that, Vila softly replied that maybe only people who had been through pain could feel safe being around each other like that. After hearing that, Ki-rin stepped closer to her, his face looking way more gentle than usual. He said that just like Kita, he always felt really peaceful when he was around her. Those words sounded exactly like a love confession that he was trying to let out super slowly. The vibe between the two of them just had enough time to get quiet and a bit romantic when Madame and I-san showed up, totally ruining the moment. She instantly scolded her son, demanding that he stay away from Vila if he didn't want to end up like Pat. However, Ki-rin bluntly fired back that he wasn't reckless and driven by lust like that bad guy. After that, Vila went to meet her best friend Parai. The two of them sat down to talk and brought up their suspicions surrounding the sudden deaths of Vila's dad and Jingjuk, Ki-rin's wife. The thing that totally confused them was that both of them had heart disease and were always super careful about their diet and daily habits. But when the tragedies happened, their medical conditions got drastically worse in a really abnormal way. Earlier, when talking to the doctor who treated Jingjuk, Vila found out that during her treatment, there were times when she fell into a super stressed and unstable mental state. The reason seemed to be tied to the company shares, as well as her not-so-great relationship with her mother-in-law. Those details made Vila feel even more like things definitely weren't as simple as they looked on the outside. When she got back home, Vila caught Madame and I-san trying to set up a marriage for her daughter with some guy just for her own benefit. Seeing that, Vila bluntly asked if that was truly a mother's love for her daughter, or if she was simply forcing her daughter to get married just to serve her own selfish plans. Not long after that, that guy proposed to Nun right in front of everyone. However, Nun turned him down flat. She said she didn't want to turn her marriage into a tool to trade favors for someone else, even if the person who wanted it was her own mom. Getting unexpectedly rejected, that guy had no choice but to head home looking visibly disappointed. As for Nun, she was so depressed about being forced into marriage by her own mom that she decided to hit up a bar to drink her sorrows away. But while she was drunk, she drove and accidentally caused a car crash. Panicking and not knowing what to do next, she quickly called her brother to come help clean up the mess she just made. But the first person to show up at the scene was actually Pat. He said Nun's mom sent him over to handle everything, and then immediately told Nun to go straight home. Nun went home completely panicked and terrified, still wearing a dress covered in blood. The second she walked into the house, Madame and I-san demanded that her daughter calm down and pretend like nothing ever happened. However, they had absolutely no idea that Vila was standing right behind the wall and heard the entire conversation between the mother and her two kids. Not long after, the cops showed up because someone reported that Nun's car had caused an accident and then fled the scene. But the whole family instantly put on a perfect act. Nun walked out looking like she just woke up, acting totally confused and saying she had been home since early evening and had no clue what was going on outside. Right when the whole family was putting on this pitiful show for the cops, Villa suddenly stepped out. In her hand was the blood-stained dress that Nun had thrown in the trash earlier. Villa also proved to be a fantastic actress by pretending to be worried, asking Nun with total sincerity what had happened to her. But in reality, her actual goal was to show the cops the evidence linked to the case. Right after that, Nun was taken down to the police station for the investigation. Madame and I's-son was so mad she cursed at Villa, accusing her of purposely trying to ruin her daughter. Even so, Villa kept a totally calm attitude. She fired back, asking if her daughter had actually done something wrong, which was why she was so worried. If Nun truly hadn't done anything wrong, there was absolutely no reason to be scared of the cops. Those blunt words left Madame and I's-son totally speechless, unable to argue back a single word. To vent her anger, she immediately fired Villa and ordered her to leave the house right that second. The vibe in the house at that moment was so tense that it felt like just one tiny spark could make the whole place blow up. But right at that moment, little Kita showed up. The boy burst into tears, calling his grandma a bad person and absolutely refusing to let his teacher leave. It was Kita's arrival that managed to cool things down a bit. The next day, Ki-rin tracked down Villa to tell her straight up to stop using Kita as a shield to provoke and go against his mom. But Villa didn't back down at all. She sarcastically shot back that Ki-rin wasn't exactly a saint either. In front of outsiders he always acted all righteous, but when it came to his own family, he just turned a blind eye and didn't care about right or wrong. Those words hit Ki-rin right in his weak spot, leaving him speechless once again, unable to fire back. After saying that, Villa turned her back and walked away looking totally cold and decisive. After that, she went to see her best friend Pirai to vent about it. But right while the two of them were talking, they saw a video about someone stepping up to take the blame for the car crash the night before. The case was wrapped up super fast, and the truth was once again twisted by money. The friend who was riding with Nun that night had stepped up to take the fall for her. Seeing that news, Villa got even more furious. She swore she wasn't going to let this slide that easily. Villa decided to start hunting for new evidence to expose Nun's crime, totally determined to bring the truth into the light. To make sure everything blew over smoothly, Madame and I's-son forced her daughter to marry Put, the guy whose proposal she had rejected earlier. When the guy's family came over to talk about the wedding, Nun could only force out a fake smile. Anyone could tell that she wasn't into this marriage at all. On the flip side, her mom looked super happy, constantly smiling because she was finally about to get exactly what she wanted. In the kitchen, the maid even dropped a sarcastic joke, saying that today Madame and I's-son was smiling so wide her mouth was bigger than a dinner plate. But that happiness didn't last very long. While the wedding talks weren't even finished yet, the groom's family suddenly received a video. It showed footage of their future daughter-in-law causing a fatal car crash that took someone's life. The vibe changed instantly. Put's family got furious, accusing Madame and I's-son's family of being totally fake and full of lies. They called out how her daughter committed a serious crime but still acted like nothing happened, and even tried to make people feel sorry for her. The cozy family dinner quickly turned into a massive screaming match. In the end, the groom's family bluntly declared that they would never let their son marry a woman with a criminal record. After that, Ki-rin walked into the kitchen to find Villa. He suddenly grabbed her phone to check it, suspecting that she was the one who sent the video of his sister's crash to Put's family. However, there wasn't a single trace of it on Viola's phone. Even so, Ki-rin still didn't totally trust her and figured she had probably just deleted all the evidence. Villa just kept a chill, innocent look on her face, swearing that she had absolutely nothing to do with it. Actually, that video was sent by Pirai. On the night of the crash, she had gone to the scene and spotted a car parked nearby with a dashcam that caught the exact moment Nun caused the accident. When the truth got exposed, Nun completely broke down. She couldn't accept what she had done. The pressure and the guilt took a massive toll on her mental state. In total despair, Nun reached for a bottle of sleeping pills with the intention of forgetting everything. Luckily, she was found in time, so her life wasn't in danger. Even though Villa really wanted revenge on Madame and I's-son's family, seeing Nun in that state actually made her feel a wave of guilt. She asked herself if she had indirectly pushed things way too far, because at the end of the day, Nun was still her half-sister. That night, Ki-rin turned to alcohol to forget about all the mess his family had just been through. Seeing him sitting all alone looking super stressed, Villa walked over and quietly chatted with him. Just as she was about to stand up and leave, Ki-rin suddenly grabbed her hand, begging her to stay. Under the influence of the alcohol, he spilled his deepest thoughts, saying that he wanted her to stay by his side, and he wanted her to care for him and pamper him exactly like how she took care of little Kita. After saying those words, Ki-rin was barely conscious. While stumbling around, he accidentally pulled Villa right into his arms. This time Villa didn't fight back at all. She just stayed totally quiet, lying right there in his arms. Maybe in that exact moment, She finally realized that her own heart was slowly starting to fall for this guy. Early the next morning, Vila brought a basket of fruit to the hospital to visit Nun. But right there in the hospital hallway, a woman suddenly recognized her. It was R.A. Guy, the teacher from the orphanage where Vila used to live. While Vila was standing and talking to Ki Rin in front of Nun's room, the woman walked up and called out loudly, "Ha Tai." Hearing that name, both Vila and Ki Rin spun around in shock. But luckily, right at that moment, Pi Rai quickly pulled the woman away to another spot. So Ki Rin didn't catch anything weird. And the truth about Vila's identity wasn't exposed. After leaving the hospital, Vila and Pi Rai went to visit teacher R.A. Guy. By now, she was suffering from dementia, spending most of her time living in scattered memories. When she saw smoke rising from a nearby area, terrifying memories from the past suddenly came rushing back, making her panic. It was the memory of the fire from many years ago, when Vila and Pi Rai were still kids at the orphanage. That day, because a friend took over her bedroom, Vila had to move to the storage room to sleep. That bad luck actually ended up saving her life. Because that night, the room that originally belonged to Vila was set on fire. Teacher R.A. Guy said through tears that it wasn't an accident, but a fire someone started on purpose. They knew Vila was living there, so they wanted to kill her. But ironically, the little girl who took Vila's room became the victim instead, dying in her place. After that horrific event, the teacher decided to bury the girl's past. She said that from that night on, the name Ha Tai would disappear with the flames. And for all these years, no one knew the truth about that fateful night. After leaving the teacher's place, Vila went back and met Ki Rin to talk about Ki Ta joining some outdoor activities. Ki Rin sat there listening, but his mind was a total mess. Earlier at the hospital, he had accidentally caught his mom and sister pretending to be sick just to get sympathy from others. That made him feel incredibly disappointed in his family. Right then, Madame and I-san showed up and flat out opposed letting little Kita go out for lessons and activities. She was scared the boy would cause trouble, and she didn't want the family appearing in the news again. But this time, Ki Rin didn't stay quiet anymore. He said he had followed his mom's wishes too many times, and this time, he would be the one to decide what happened with Ki Ta. Seeing her son dare to go against her for the first time made Madame and I-san furious. A little later, while Vila was tutoring Ki Ta, she got a call from Purai. She sneaked out to take the call. Right then, Ki Rin appeared behind her and grilled her for neglecting his son to handle personal business during class hours. He also warned her that if she didn't take good care of Ki Ta, he would be the one to kick her out. This was because he was currently going against his mom just to protect the decision to keep her around Ki Ta. Vila being so sneaky made Ki Rin start to suspect she was hiding something. So when Vila took Ki Ta out, he quietly followed behind. A while later, Vila met Purai and handed her a file, warning her that it was very important and asking her friend to keep it safe. Right then, Ki Rin showed up and grabbed the file. He was shocked to realize that Purai was the female reporter who often appeared at his company. That made him even more suspicious that Vila wanted to give her friend documents to expose his family's business. But when he opened the file, he was stunned because there were absolutely no documents related to his family inside. It was just transfer papers for teacher R.A. Guy. Vila explained that she saw the teacher like her own mother, so she wanted to find a better hospital to treat her. After hearing that, Ki Rin felt incredibly guilty and immediately apologized for doubting her. Later, Ki Rin went to the school to pick up Ki Ta, but he got some news that left him terrified. The school told him that a man claiming to be Ki Ta's father had already picked the boy up. Immediately, Ki Rin called Vila to tell her that Ki Ta was missing. Luckily, this morning before Ki Ta went to school, Vila had him wear a smartwatch with a tracker. So the two of them immediately tracked the watch's signal to find the boy. They kept calling the watch, but Ki Ta didn't pick up. That made both of them more and more worried, because they didn't know where the boy was or who had him. On the other side, Ki Ta woke up in the back of a white truck. It was cramped and pitch black enough to make any kid freak out. Right then, the smartwatch on the boy's wrist vibrated. It was a call from his teacher. Vila. Ki Ta shakily answered, crying and saying he was on a truck and there was no one around. Hearing the boy in a panic, Vila did her best to help him stay calm. She gently comforted him and then guided Ki Ta on how to open the truck door to escape. The boy struggled for a bit, but finally managed to get the door open. But as soon as he poked his head out, Ki Ta saw someone walking toward the truck. Without thinking twice, the boy immediately jumped down and ran for it. However, just a moment later, Ki Ta was caught by a white-bearded man. Luckily, right at that moment, Ki Rin and Vila also managed to find the place. The two of them quickly rushed over and rescued Ki Ta from the kidnapper's hands. Seeing his son held captive like that, Ki Rin instantly lost his temper. Without saying much, he charged straight at the white-bearded man and gave him a very enthusiastic lesson. Unfortunately, the guy managed to run off before Ki Rin could finish venting his anger. Ki Rin was about to chase him, but Vila quickly stopped him. She said the most important thing right now was getting Ki Ta home safely. Plus, she had something very important to tell him. When they got home, Vila said that while she was looking for help, she saw the kidnapper climb into Pat's car. As soon as she said that, Pat happened to walk by. Ki-rin was already in a total rage, so hearing that meant he didn't need to check any further facts. He charged over and beat Pat to a pulp. If Madame and I-san hadn't shown up just in time, Pat might have ended up in a hospital bed. When told that her grandson had just been kidnapped, Madame and I-san acted surprisingly calm. So calm that it made others wonder if she was even worried at all. She coldly said that Ki-rin was being too hasty by believing Vila, when she had no proof. Not only that, she turned around and blamed Vila for being careless at work, which was why Kita was in danger. Actually, the person behind this kidnapping was Madame and I-san herself. She just wanted to create a perfect excuse to throw Vila out of the house. So now, she was dead set on blaming Vila while doing everything to protect Pat. While the four of them were arguing fiercely, Madame and I-san suddenly said she wanted to know all about Viola's background, especially the things she was trying to hide. Then she sent Pat to bring in the person they needed. Ki-rin stood there completely confused about what was going on. All he could do was complain about why there were always secrets in his family that he was the last to know about. Just as Vila and Ki-rin were feeling bewildered, the maid brought a woman into the room. It was Teacher Guy. The second she saw her, Vila felt like her heart stopped. Her brain seemingly quit working, and her heart sank all the way to her feet. This was because she understood perfectly that if the teacher told the truth, all the secrets she had hidden for years would collapse instantly. It turned out Madame and I-san had someone dig into Viola's background. Pat found out that she used to live in an orphanage. But on the resume she used to get the tutoring job for Madame and I-san's family, Vila hadn't listed this information at all. Coincidentally, that was the exact same orphanage where the fire happened years ago. And that fire was directly linked to Madame and I-san and Pat. The two of them were the ones who started the fire to kill the little girl Hatai back then. So, they brought Teacher Guy here to verify if Vila had ever lived at that orphanage. Teacher Guy slowly walked up to Vila. She said she remembered every single child who lived there, remembering every single face. Hearing that, Vila was terrified. She was almost certain her secret was about to be exposed. But then the teacher stood right in front of her and said she didn't know this girl at all. She swore Vila had never lived at that orphanage. While leaning down, she whispered softly to Vila, "Why did you come back here? This place is very dangerous. Leave quickly." In front of everyone, the teacher bluntly called Vila a fraud because she had never lived at that orphanage. Those words sounded cruel, but in reality, it was the only way to protect the girl she always loved like her own child. But for Inai-san, it was the perfect excuse. She immediately claimed that Vila had hidden her background and lied to her family. Because of that, she demanded that she leave the house right away. On top of that, she even threatened to sue Peter's school for sending a teacher with a mysterious background to her home. Knowing that staying would only get other people in trouble, Vila finally accepted it and left. She decided to quit. When Vila was carrying her suitcase out of the house, Kita immediately ran after her. The boy hugged her, not wanting to let her go. Vila had to patiently comfort him for a long time before he finally let go of her hand. Before she left, Kita tearfully said that he would always remember his teacher, not just in his head but also in his heart. Those innocent but sincere words made the goodbye much heavier. Getting Vila out of the house made Inai-san very happy. She even told the maid to splash a bucket of water at the gate, as if she were chasing away something very unlucky. She also coldly stated that she didn't hope to see her ever again. Hearing that, Vila just turned around, smiled calmly and said, "They say you always end up with what you hate the most, so maybe we'll meet again in the future." After saying that, she gave a very cool smile and walked away, leaving Inai-san standing there so mad she could explode. However, not long after Vila left the house, she ran into new trouble. A thug suddenly blocked her way and forced her into a white car. He took her to a deserted forest. While she was still confused about whose hands she had fallen into, she suddenly discovered that Madame Nami was the one behind the kidnapping today. When Vila asked why she did that, Nami didn't say a word and just threw a stack of photos in front of her. They were pictures of Vila, Ki-rin, and Kita together looking very close, just like a real family. Nami coldly questioned whether Vila was actually helping her investigate her granddaughter's death, or if she was just trying to take her granddaughter's place in that family. Vila calmly explained that those photos were just moments when she and Ki-rin were trying to comfort Kita, and there was absolutely nothing romantic going on between her and Ki-rin. Furthermore, she was still investigating the case involving her granddaughter. She had found out that before she died, her granddaughter's illness got much worse, which also made her doctor very suspicious since she went for checkups very often. Just as the two of them were leaving, Ki-rin happened to drive past that area. He walked up and asked why Vila was there. She quickly said she was visiting a friend and happened to run into Nami. When she turned to leave, her leg suddenly hurt, making her almost fall. Ki-rin immediately stepped in to catch her. But Vila suddenly remembered Nami's earlier warning to stay away from Ki-rin, so she immediately changed her attitude. Vila coldly said that she didn't work for him anymore, so he didn't need to care about her. But Ki-rin believed that even if she didn't work for him, he was still ready to help if she needed it. Hearing that, Vila asked him back if he was ready to help someone who had lost everything like her. Those words made Ki-rin suddenly remember the little girl Ha-tai from years ago. Childhood memories suddenly rushed back into his mind. Viola's way of talking, her attitude, and even her actions all made him feel like she was exactly like Ha-tai from back then. This made some hard-to-explain suspicions start growing in his heart. Later, Ki-rin even took a photo of Pi to ask Peter if he knew this person. At first, Peter didn't recognize her, but after thinking for a while, he suddenly remembered meeting this girl at the bar before. The scattered pieces of information in Ki-rin's head slowly started to connect. He began to suspect that both Pi and Vila were hiding something. So Ki-rin hired a detective to investigate further. The results showed that in the orphanage records from that year, there was only Pi's name, and Viola's name was nowhere to be found. However, the detective thought it was possible that Vila was a name she changed to after the fire, because after that accident, the orphanage closed and many children were moved elsewhere, even changing their names. The detective also mentioned that in the fire that year, one child had died. Then he handed Ki-rin a photo. The person in the photo was Ha-tai. This new information made Ki-rin's head spin even more. This was because his mother had told him before that Ha-tai had been killed by robbers along with her mother. But now, he was holding a photo of Ha-tai living in an orphanage. The two completely opposite stories made everything in his head even more chaotic. Meanwhile, Vila went to visit teacher Guy. Even though she had dementia, the teacher always remembered the little girl Ha-tai, whom she once took care of. Those old memories made her feel that Ha-tai was surrounded by danger. She kept telling the girl to run away and find a safe place for herself. Seeing the teacher so upset, Vila hugged her to calm her down. She gently said that she was an adult now and was no longer the weak little Ha-tai from before. Those words finally made the teacher slowly calm down. However, their conversation, as well as the truth that Vila was actually Ha-tai, was accidentally overheard by a fat woman standing nearby. Ironically, this woman had been bribed by Na-pat earlier to watch and find information about Vila, and now she had just heard an extremely important secret. The fat woman held the stack of cash in her hand with a smug look. After making sure the money was safely in her pocket, she slowly told Inai-san a shocking secret about Viola's identity. According to her, the girl everyone was calling Vila was actually Ha-tai. The child who was thought to have died in the fire years ago wasn't actually Ha-tai, but another child. After revealing that shocking secret and getting a generous amount of money, the fat woman left immediately. In the large room, Inai-san stood there frozen. That news was like a lightning bolt to her ears. Seeing that things weren't looking good, Na-pat quickly tried to argue, saying it was very possible that teacher Guy was confused because of her old age and mistaken Vila for Ha-tai. But Inai-san didn't believe that explanation easily. With a cold gaze, she immediately ordered Na-pat to investigate clearly whether Vila was truly Ha-tai. There was a scary cruelty in her voice as she said that if she really were Ha-tai, she must not be allowed to exist in this world. No one knew that the entire conversation had been overheard by Nun standing outside. The young girl immediately walked in, her face full of shock and anger. Nun questioned her mother about why she had lied to her for all these years. Since she was a child, her mother had told her that her sister Ha-tai had died with her mother in a robbery attack. But now her own ears had heard a completely different truth. Nun tearfully said that no matter what, Ha-tai was her biological sister, so why could her mother be so heartless? But Inai-san replied to her daughter with words that were coldly cruel. She said that if Ha-tai were still alive and came back, she would steal everything Nun had, from her status in life to everyone's affection. She even reminded her that it was because Nun accidentally gave Ha-tai's postcard to Ki-rin years ago that she was able to track down the girl's address. Those words were like adding fuel to the fire, making Nun feel like she was the one who had indirectly helped her mother harm her sister. Nun couldn't accept that cruel truth. With tears rolling down her cheeks, Nun turned and ran away, her heart feeling torn apart. Not long after that, Na-pat found out the truth. Vila was indeed the little girl Ha-tai from back then. When she got this news, Inai-san felt like she had died standing up. Every nerve in her body went stiff. A mix of anger and fear made her almost go crazy, wanting to find a place to vent all the rage in her heart. To strengthen her power and the family's financial strength, Inai-san began calculating new moves. She was determined to arrange marriages based on benefits. Her son had to marry into a powerful family, and her daughter Nun was no exception. The target she was aiming for was a young man named Sin-ha, the only son of the famous politician Sarah. He had just returned from the US to help his father manage the family business. Before that, in a bar, Sin-ha had intentionally approached Nun with a calculated hero saving the beauty act. Not long after, he visited Inai-san's house to strengthen their relationship. Of course, she couldn't miss this golden opportunity, so she tried her best to set up Sin-ha with her daughter. During dinner that night, she intentionally said that the apple pie Sin-ha was eating was handmade by Nun, and that she was very thoughtful and understood him. But when Sin-ha asked Nun if she liked baking, she just sat there silently like a wooden statue. Then she coldly replied that she didn't like baking at all, and was just forced to do it by her mother. The vibe of the meal immediately became awkward. Seeing this, Inai-sun quickly explained that Nun's mood hadn't been good lately because she was once suspected of causing a hit-and-run accident. Hearing this, Sinha immediately took the chance to show off his power. He assured Inai-sun that he would handle everyone who had spread rumors and caused trouble for her family. Those words made Inai-sun feel overjoyed. She gave a satisfied smile because a new plan was starting to form in her head, using Sinha's power while step-by-step getting rid of the threat named Hatai. Right after that, to prove he was worthy of being a future son-in-law in front of Inai-sun, Sinha decided to personally deal with Vila. The next day, Vila went to the house of a maid named Kop to ask about the whereabouts of a woman named Rit. Vila had to promise to lend her money to help her son, who was tricked into smuggling, before she would give her the address. But when she arrived at the address Kop gave her, all she saw was a cold, abandoned house, ruined and full of dust. Before she could understand what was happening, Sinha suddenly appeared. In fact, this was a sophisticated plan that Sinha had set up to lure Vila there. Vila immediately questioned him on why he tricked her. But Sinha just smirked and said that because she dared to threaten Nun and Inai-sun, he was stepping up to deal with her. As soon as he finished speaking, he slapped Vila hard, making her fall to the floor. Not stopping there, he ordered his goons to rush in and beat her within an inch of her life. While being beaten until exhausted and collapsing on the cold floor, Vila suddenly saw a woman's body under the bed. And that woman was none other than the person she had been searching for all this time. Sinha had prepared a perfect plan. He forged a suicide note and told his goons to throw it into the room, then locked the door to frame the scene as if Vila had committed suicide. In that life-or-death moment, Vila only remembered her beloved mother. The image of her kind mother appeared in her mind, making her eyes go blurry, and then she slowly sank into the darkness and passed out. That night, in Inai-sun's luxurious mansion, the vibe was completely the opposite. She was sitting back comfortably watching the news on her phone with a very satisfied look. The news report had just mentioned a fire in the forest where a charred body was found, but the identity hadn't been determined yet. Hearing that news, Inai-sun gave a very smug smile. She coldly said that she had let Vila escape once before, but this time she definitely wouldn't survive. In the room next door, Nun was drowning in horrible guilt. After learning the secret that her mother had lied about Hatai's death, she felt extremely guilty. Unable to take the pressure in her heart, Nun turned to alcohol to forget everything. When her brother walked into the room, Nun felt like she had found a place to vent. While drunk, she tearfully said that in this very house, she was no different from a locked-up prisoner with no right to decide her own life. Her mother forced her to love and marry someone she had no feelings for. Not only that, Nun also told the truth about Hatai. She said that Hatai didn't die with her mother in that robbery years ago, but had been sent to an orphanage. And because she gave the postcard that Hatai sent to Ki-rin while she was at the orphanage, her mother found out her address. She had unintentionally helped her mother find Hatai, and from there, she was able to send people to hunt her sister down. That thought made Nun's heart heavy with guilt. After Madame Inai-sun thought she finally got rid of the thorn in her side, she happily organized a big press conference to announce Ki-rin's engagement to a girl named Min, whom she had handpicked for the family's gain. Before that, she had even threatened Ki-rin, saying that if he didn't agree, little Kita would be shipped off to study abroad immediately. She coldly told him that every choice he made today would directly hit the boy's future. A few minutes later, the press conference officially kicked off. Ki-rin and Nun walked into the event looking very relaxed, not at all like the gloomy state they were in the night before. It seemed like a sign that something big was about to go down. In front of a crowd of reporters, Madame Inai-sun asked Ki-rin to announce the marriage. The girl named Min happily stepped up next to him, eagerly waiting to hear her name called in front of the whole media. But something nobody saw coming happened. Ki-rin calmly announced to everyone that he was already married. That one line sent a shockwave through the whole room. People started buzzing with gossip, while the girl standing next to him was frozen in shock, her face stiff because she couldn't believe her ears. Not stopping there, Ki-rin said he wanted to take this chance to introduce his wife to everyone. All eyes immediately swung toward the large doors of the hall. When the doors slowly opened, a girl in an elegant white dress walked in. It was none other than Vila. Her appearance left Madame Inai-sun and everyone there wide-eyed with shock, their mouths hanging open without a word. No one could believe what they were seeing. Madame Inai-sun was even more stunned. She never expected Vila to escape death again, because in her mind, that girl should have died in the fire the other day. Then Vila confidently stepped onto the stage, forcefully pulled Min's hand away from Ki-rin, and took her place. Everything happened so fast, completely catching Madame Inai-sun off guard, leaving her so mad she lost all control. She didn't just scream at her son but even tried to lay a hand on Vila. But this time Ki-rin wasn't weak like before. He stepped up to shield and protect the woman he loved. Now, even if it was just a staged marriage, Vila was legally and officially his wife. Earlier, during the fire at the abandoned house, just as Vila was nearly choking in the thick smoke, Ki-rin showed up right in time to save her. He rushed her to the hospital and then went back to her apartment to grab some clothes. That was when he discovered the shocking truth. Villa was actually Ha Tai, the girl he had been missing for all those years. When he returned to the hospital and confirmed this, he was so overwhelmed with joy that he pulled her into a hug, tearfully saying he would make up for everything and return everything that belonged to her and the Sut family. Hearing that promise only made Villa burst into tears of frustration. She painfully asked him how he could ever make up for the losses for her life, and for the people who died because of him. Faced with her breakdown, Ki-rin could only hold her tight, swearing he would fix his mistakes by marrying her. He promised to keep her identity a secret, and not let his mother find out. However, he had no idea that Madame and I-san already knew everything, and was secretly looking for ways to harm Villa. The next day, Villa walked into Madame and I-san's house but was immediately blocked and told to leave. Without flinching, she pulled out the marriage certificate. But she got so mad she tore it to shreds and threw it in her face. Right then, Ki-rin stepped up to protect his wife, demanding his mother show her some respect. Villa also pulled out Ki-ta's passport and plane tickets, announcing that she couldn't take the boy anywhere anymore. Ki-rin added that Ki-ta was his son, and from now on, she couldn't use the boy to threaten him again. The two of them even went out of their way to act lovey-dovey in front of Madame and I-san, making her even more furious. When Ki-ta found out Villa was back, the boy was so happy he gave her a big hug. Hearing Villa say she would be staying in the house from now on as his dad's wife, the boy's face went pale and he backed away as if he were protesting. But then suddenly, he cheered with joy and hugged them both. At that moment, the three of them looked like a truly happy family. That night in the room, Ki-rin left Villa a bit flustered when he suddenly moved close to her. She panicked, thinking he was going to do something, but he was actually just grabbing his stuff to take a shower. He said he'd keep his promise. This room was hers and he would sleep with Ki-ta. When Villa asked how long this fake marriage would last, he said until he returned everything that belonged to her family and moved his mother and sister out of the house. He told her to be patient and not to act too fast. Early the next morning, Villa woke up acting like the true lady of the house. The first thing she did wasn't making breakfast, but rearranging the feng shui of the home, specifically taking down Madame and I-san's photo and replacing it with a picture of her and Ki-rin. This move quickly made Nun blow up as soon as she saw it. Nun questioned how she dared to do such a thing. Villa calmly fired back with total confidence, asserting her rights in the house while hinting that Madame and I-san and her daughter were now just guests staying there. Unable to hold back her rage, Nun lunged at Villa to attack her, but she was immediately countered and taken down with ease. Right then, Madame and I-san showed up, but when she saw Villa wearing the first wife's jewelry, she froze. That image brought back the shadow of T&I from years ago, making her unconsciously step back as if the past had suddenly reappeared right before her eyes. The things she thought were buried seemed to just be waiting for a chance to pop up again. And Villa was the one bringing it all back. Later in the kitchen, while Villa was making coffee, Madame and I-san walked in to intimidate her. However, Villa took charge by holding up the coffee pot as a warning. The move didn't need words, but it sent the message loud and clear. That moment made Madame and I-san flash back to the past when she had used a similar way to hurt Villa. This role reversal made her feel fear for the first time, as if she might become the one to suffer through what Villa had tasted before. Just as things got super tense, Ki-rin showed up and pulled Villa outside. He grilled her about her actions, but Villa stayed chill, saying she was just doing her job, and that his mother's reaction came from her own past trauma. Their conversation was getting pretty heated when Peter suddenly showed up. Misunderstanding the situation and thinking Villa was being bullied, he immediately stepped up to protect her. However, Ki-rin quickly made it clear that this was their private business as a couple, and didn't need any outside interference. Peter's appearance made the vibe even more tense, especially as Ki-rin's jealousy started to show. The two men almost got into a fight, but luckily Villa stepped in right in time before things went too far. Leaving the house, Villa went to see Madame Nami. Nami was clearly unhappy that Villa hadn't kept her earlier promise to stay away from Ki-rin. Faced with that blame, Villa didn't dodge it and explained things bluntly. She declared that even though she was married, she wouldn't touch anything belonging to her granddaughter, while also keeping her promise to investigate the truth about her death to the very end. The firmness and sincerity in Villa's words slowly made Madame Nami calm down. When Villa got back home and walked into her room, she was surprised to find Ki-rin inside. This immediately annoyed her, because he had already made it clear this room was hers and he was moving in with Ki-ta. However, Ki-rin's excuse was to keep others from getting suspicious about their relationship. He still kept his clothes and daily routine in the old room as if nothing had changed. Not stopping there, Ki-rin moved closer and directly questioned where Villa had been, even suspecting she had just met Peter. Villa refused to answer, and her silence only made Ki-rin even more irritated. In a not-so-hidden fit of jealousy, he pushed her down onto the bed and wouldn't let go. He basically made a deal that he'd only stop once she answered him. The vibe in the room instantly got tense in a very ambiguous way. Suddenly, Ki-ta opened the door and walked in. With total childhood innocence, the boy looked at them and asked a very blunt question. If they were fighting. The simple question was enough to make them both jump up instantly, each standing on their own side with an awkwardness that was hard to hide. The next morning at work, Peter got a bouquet of flowers with a note from Vila asking to meet him, but it said to keep it a secret. The invite made him really happy, though he had no clue it was actually an anonymous letter and the start of a carefully staged setup. At the agreed time and place, Peter showed up at the bar. Coincidentally, Vila appeared there too, but she was there to meet Madame Nami for a different appointment. While waiting, a server brought her a glass of wine, saying it was for Madame Nami. In reality, it was all part of a plan cooked up by Madame and I-san, and Madame Nami to stage a perfect caught in the act moment. According to the script, Ki-rin and Madame and I-san would also show up right on time to witness everything. However, things started to go off the rails when, just before Vila was about to drink the wine, Ploy showed up to warn her to leave if she didn't want to get framed. She revealed it was a trap and didn't want her to be a victim. Vila left right away. Ploy drank the wine and quickly felt abnormally dizzy. Right then, Peter walked in and being out of control, she stumbled and pulled him down onto the couch with her, creating a scene that was very easy to misunderstand. At that exact moment, Ki-rin and Madame and I-san burst into the room to catch them in the act. But instead of Vila, the person they saw was Madame Nami's granddaughter. The fact that things went totally sideways from the plan left them both stunned. Realizing something was wrong, they immediately looked around for Vila. Meanwhile, Peter had also found out the truth from Ploy. He sarcastically asked if their perfect timing meant the whole thing was staged from the start. He bluntly said that while he wasn't perfect, he wouldn't act so thoughtlessly. He even turned to scold Ki-rin for not trusting the woman he loved. None wasn't off the hook either, as Peter pointed out that someone who didn't understand true love like her would find it hard to believe in a sincere connection between people. Those words were soft but hurt worse than a knife cut. None couldn't hide her anger and left right after. Meanwhile, Ki-rin had to apologize to Peter, trying to explain that it was all just a misunderstanding. The next day, to keep his promise to Vila, Ki-rin handed her his first asset, his shares in the Rabbit Company. Holding those shares, Vila quickly called a shareholder meeting at Rabbit the very next day. Her showing up in the meeting room surprised many people, especially Madame Nami. When she saw Vila walk in, she immediately thought she was just there as Ki-rin's rep. But Vila calmly corrected her, saying she didn't represent anyone because right now, she was the company's largest shareholder. This news was like a lightning bolt to Madame Nami losing her cool. She lunged at Vila, questioning why she was taking shares that originally belonged to her granddaughter. However, Vila didn't flinch. She bluntly said that in business, changing shareholders is totally normal, and this company never belonged solely to Madame Nami's family, but to all the shareholders. Plus, she subtly reminded her that it was thanks to Ki-rin's support that the company was able to stand strong again. So Madame Nami's idea that the company was hers alone was a bit outdated. After the meeting, Madame Nami kept chasing Vila to scream at her. She called Vila greedy, saying she didn't just want to take her man but also her granddaughter's assets. But Vila fired back in a very chill way, saying Madame Nami was the selfish one. She had trusted her, but the older woman had planned to stab her in the back, so she had to act like this. Not stopping at words, Vila also announced she would be canceling all of Madame Nami's positions in the company, using the excuse that she was too old and frequently lost control of her emotions. Later, Ploy reached out to meet Vila at a coffee shop. She apologized on behalf of Madame Nami for what had happened, while also hoping Vila wouldn't completely kick her out of the company over old history, since her grandmother had put so much heart into it. However, Vila stuck to her decision, only saying there was a specific reason for removing Madame Nami from management, and she'd explain at the right time. She also promised that once things were settled, they'd talk again about the shares she held, which originally belonged to Ploy's sister. The next day, after seeing a video of Madame Nami losing it in the shareholder meeting, Madame and I-san found out that Ki-rin had transferred all the Rabbit Company shares to Vila. This news left her super worried because the plan to merge Rabbit with the Sut the group was now trashed. Standing nearby, Pat didn't forget to add fuel to the fire by hinting that Ki-rin might be so hypnotized by Vila that he was ready to hand over all the group's assets to her. This made Madame and I-san even more anxious. Without waiting, she immediately decided to call a shareholder meeting. But this time she purposely didn't let Ki-rin know. The conversation accidentally reached the ears of Ki-rin's assistant. Right after that, the assistant called Ki-rin to report that his mother was setting up an emergency shareholder meeting. Even though he had the info, Ki-rin still didn't know the real goal behind this meeting. Taking advantage of the time Ki-rin and Vila took Kita to school, Madame and I-san quickly gathered the shareholders at her home under the guise of an important announcement. She announced her plan to give the CEO position of the group to her daughter, Nun, and wanted everyone to agree before the official meeting. However, not everyone agreed easily. One shareholder questioned why the choice was Nun and not Ki-rin, since all the prep before seemed to point to him. Madame and I-san immediately used the excuse that Nun was the daughter of Mr. Tot and the only descendant of the Sut the bloodline, so she was the one who deserved the spot. That shareholder bluntly said he'd only accept it if Ki-rin was the leader, because in his eyes, ability was more important than bloodline. Some other shareholders agreed and were about to leave. But right then, Mr. Sarah and his son Singh showed up, demanding that no one leave until everything was settled. To make sure the result went their way, Singh pulled out evidence showing that the shareholders had taken bribes in the past. This valuable info forced the shareholders to agree with Madam and I's plan. After getting what they wanted, Mr. Sarah and his son left looking pretty relaxed, as if they had just finished a win-win deal. Before leaving, he hinted that he'd be waiting for the day Nun officially took office, while also hoping both families would have more good news soon. This left Nun pretty confused, but when she asked about it, Madam and I's just brushed it off, telling her to focus on work. That night when Vila walked into her room, she found the maid, Kop, was there. Just one look was enough to see that the woman suspected she and Kirin weren't staying in the same room. To avoid trouble later, Vila decided to fix this suspicion once and for all. While Kirin was having tea in the garden, she explained Kop's suspicion and asked him to stay over for one night to keep up appearances. Hearing this, Kirin could hardly hide his happiness. He even suggested that if they were scared of being suspected, they should do this more often, though Vila only agreed to one single night. When Kirin noticed Kop was secretly watching, he immediately acted even more than necessary by picking Vila up and carrying her into the room. But when the door closed, his confidence from earlier vanished pretty fast. Truly being in the same room with Vila for the first time made him look obviously awkward. He just stood there not knowing what to do next. Only when Vila dropped a hint, asking if he was going to sleep standing up, did he finally get into position. The vibe settled down, and he started to open his heart. He said every moment with Vila was meaningful, and he wanted her not to regret what they were going through. He promised to try to return everything that belonged to her. She bluntly asked if he was scared of his mother getting hurt. Kirin replied with a pretty simple trust. No matter what, he was still her son, and he believed his mother would eventually forgive them. His sincerity made Vila feel totally torn. Originally, she walked into this house for revenge, but what Kirin was giving her made everything way more complicated. With a face full of tears, she admitted that hating him would be easier, because if she hated him, she wouldn't have to feel this guilty. Kirin asked her how she really felt about him if she wasn't mad or hateful. Her silence after that became the clearest answer to the feelings in her heart. Realizing that, Kirin moved closer, wanting to use a kiss to prove his feelings. But right at that romantic moment, Kirin suddenly had a heart attack and collapsed onto the floor, leaving Vila in a total panic. Right after that, Kirin was rushed to the hospital. There, the doctor told the family that his blood contained amphetamines, a substance found in illegal drugs. This news left everyone in total shock, because no one had ever seen Kirin involved with drugs before. While everyone was still panicking, Madam and I's immediately shot a suspicious look at Vila, as if she already had the answer. With that suspicion in mind, while Vila stayed at the hospital to care for Kirin, Madam and I's Nun, and Pat quietly went back home to look for evidence. They quickly tore Viola's room apart, and then they happened to find a packet of powder in her handbag. When Vila returned from the hospital, the second she walked into the house, Madam and I's blocked her. The packet of powder was pulled out as proof to accuse her of poisoning Kirin. In a fit of rage, she even lunged forward to hit her, but luckily Pat and Nun stopped her just in time. In the middle of all that chaos, Vila stayed chill. She bluntly denied hurting Kirin and insisted that packet wasn't hers. Not stopping at just defending herself, she fired back, asking if Madam and I's was the one who set the whole thing up to frame her. Vila also pointed out that in this house, anyone could be a suspect, and she would find the truth to prove she was being framed. After saying that, she turned and walked away. Viola's words made Nun start to waver. She turned to ask her mom if there was a chance what Vila said was true. However, Madam and I's immediately denied it, swearing there was no way she would ever hurt her own son. The next day, Peter went to the hospital to visit Kirin. The vibe there wasn't pleasant either. Madam and I's kept acting furious with Vila and demanded she stay away from her son. She even told Peter that Vila was the one who put Kirin in this state. While the argument was going down, Kirin suddenly woke up, making everyone instantly focus on him. But instead of asking how her son was doing, the first thing Madam and I's cared about was the reason he was hospitalized. Peter mentioned that the doctor found illegal drugs in Kirin's blood. He stepped up and claimed he was the one using them, and that no one had poisoned him. This answer left everyone even more skeptical. No one actually believed Kirin would use drugs, and Madam and I's quickly figured he was just taking the fall to protect Vila. However, Kirin stuck to his story, stressing that it was his choice and had nothing to do with anyone else, while also demanding his mother stop having a prejudice against his wife. Madam and I's still insisted that Vila wanted to steal the family assets, so she had attacked him. But she sarcastically replied that maybe she was just too obsessed with stories about wives hurting their husbands for an inheritance, which was why she was so quick to judge. Those words instantly made the vibe tense again, and the face-off between the two of them kept escalating. Finally, Kirin was forced to speak up and ask everyone to leave so he could get some rest. Outside the hospital room door, Villa quietly opened up to Peter while feeling like she was about to go into emotional overload. When she brought up the moment she saw Ki-rin collapse, her voice shook and her heart felt squeezed. She remembered the memory from years ago when her own dad collapsed right in front of her, and then left forever without a single word. That fear was still fresh, making her obsessed with the idea that Ki-rin might also vanish from her life the same way. Thinking about that, Villa couldn't hold back her tears. She sobbed like a child, feeling both heartbroken and guilty, because she didn't want him to suffer or get into danger just because of her. She understood clearly that him claiming to use drugs was actually just his way of standing up to protect her from trouble. Peter saw Villa in such a state that he gently hugged her to comfort her. However, that scene accidentally caught Ki-rin's eye from a distance. In his exhausted state, he could only watch and then turn his face away, feeling a mix of frustration and jealousy bubbling up inside him. Afterward, Villa went home to find the maid, Cop, to check for anything weird in the dinner on the night it happened. But Villa immediately walked into another drama that was even more intense. Madame and I's son was hosting Min's family, acting all polite but with the hidden goal of smoothing things over and keeping their business relationship alive after the earlier incident. While chatting, she didn't hesitate to drop hints that Min's family was more important than certain people in this house. A line that everyone knew was aimed at Villa. Min's mother was just as bold, demanding she prove those words with actions. And right when Villa appeared, she became the chosen target. Madame and I's son called her over, scolding her for claiming to be the lady of the house but refusing to host guests. Then she demanded she prove her love for her son by pleasing Min's family, specifically by going into the kitchen to cook and serve them. Even though she knew this was just a disguised form of humiliation, Villa chose to stay quiet and do it, simply because she didn't want to cause more trouble. In the kitchen, she worked nonstop like a forced chef, while outside, the guests kept changing their orders, demanding one dish, then canceling another as if testing her breaking point. It didn't stop there. They even demanded she clean up and wash the dishes all by herself, not letting anyone help her. The absolute peak of the disrespect was when Min's mother purposely swiped food onto the floor, publicly putting her down while sarcastically saying Villa was perfect for washing dishes and sweeping floors. She even mocked her past of studying abroad, saying it was all just to serve her cleaning skills. The anger inside Villa was at red alert levels, but she still tried to hold it in, until Min dropped a nasty line, comparing her to the pile of trash on the floor. Then all her self-control finally snapped. Villa stood up abruptly, no longer staying silent, but Min kept attacking, even putting down her marriage, saying it only existed on paper, and that she didn't even have a real wedding. This time Villa didn't back down. She fired back bluntly that in today's society, a wedding is just a formality. What matters is that the law has recognized her as Ki-rin's legal wife, and only a slow person would lower themselves to be a side piece and try to squeeze into someone else's happiness. The tension hit a peak when Min got mad and tried to react, but Villa was one step ahead. She shoved Min's head down onto the dining table and used the bowl of soup in her hand to shampoo her hair with it. Screams rang out, making everyone rush in, and Madame and I's son immediately turned to scream at Villa, calling her behavior low class. No longer holding back, she bluntly said that trying to act civilized with low-life people was just a waste of her time. Before walking away, Villa left a clear warning that if no one messed with her, this family could stay peaceful. As the lady of the house, she called the maid in to clean up the mess and then left in a vibe so tense it was suffocating. Meanwhile, Min stood there crying, feeling as pitiful as a kid who just lost a game they started themselves. Later, Villa and Kita went to the hospital to visit Ki-rin, but as soon as they walked into the room, they caught a scene that made her freeze for a few beats. Ploy was gently spoon-feeding him. Seeing Villa show up, Ploy got awkward and quickly explained that since Ki-rin wasn't fully recovered yet, she was just helping out and didn't mean anything by it. Villa heard the words, but on the inside she was so jealous she wanted to turn both of them into charcoal. However, on the outside she tried to stay cool, even saying it was good someone was caring for him, and that she was just dropping off food and leaving right away. Ki-rin was still hung up on seeing Peter hugging Villa earlier, so his attitude was clearly cold. He even purposely asked Ploy to keep feeding him fruit as a way to strike back. The vibe in the room instantly got awkward. Ploy felt the tension between the two undercurrents and quickly made up an excuse to take Kita for some cake and bailed on the scene. Left alone with Ki-rin, the vibe got even tighter. Villa stepped closer, put the food down and made it clear she brought soup. Whether he wanted to eat soup or fruit was up to him, and if he liked, he could ask Ploy to come back and help. Hearing that, Ki-rin immediately started complaining, saying she didn't need to play the role of a dutiful wife because no matter how hard she tried, it didn't look real. Those words hit her pride so hard that Villa was done being patient. She coldly replied that if he didn't want to eat, she'd take it back, and from now on, she wouldn't waste time cooking for him anymore. And then she turned to leave. Returning home, Villa found Madame Nami there. This time, she didn't come to visit her grandson Kita. Her main goal was to meet Villa and Madame and I's son. Somehow, she had gotten hold of Ki-rin's blood test results, and knew he had drugs in his system. With this secret info in hand, she came to blackmail Madame and I's son and Villa, demanding they return the rabbit company shares that Villa was holding. Before leaving, she even threatened that if Villa didn't think fast, She might accidentally leak this hot news to the papers. Later, Vila, alone in her room, pulled out a photo of her parents to quietly vent her heart out. She said the reason she came back to this house was for revenge, and she had tried so hard to be strong and win. But at this point she was hesitating because she didn't want Ki-rin to get hurt because of her, and even less did she want his life ruined just because of her grudges. When she opened Ki-rin's drawer, she was shocked to find he still kept the drawings she made as a kid, along with photos of the two of them from when they were little. That moment made Vila completely break down. Tears fell non-stop as she realized his feelings were deeper than she ever thought, while she was standing between too many choices, not knowing how to move forward. The next morning, Madame and I-san went to the hospital to see Ki-rin, but it wasn't to check on his health. She bluntly demanded he resign and step down from all management positions in the company. Ki-rin was stunned, not understanding what was happening. Madame and I-san said she would let Nun take the position of company chairwoman, but Ki-rin questioned if Nun even agreed with this decision, because he knew for a fact Nun didn't have the ability to handle such a major role. However, Madame and I-san just coldly replied that she would stand behind her to support her, while stressing that since he married Vila, he had to accept the sacrifice. Because if Vila didn't return the shares to Madame Nami, the story about him being involved with drugs would be exposed, bringing serious consequences for the whole group. Therefore, him leaving the company was the right thing to do. Actually, that whole plan was being masterminded by Pat. He took advantage of the pressure Madame Nami was putting on them to suggest to Madame and I-san that pushing Ki-rin out of the CEO spot would make the plan to put Nun in as chairwoman go much smoother. To make sure they won the upcoming shareholder meeting, Madame and I-san actively lobbied more shareholders to join her side. Not stopping there, she even sought out someone she didn't want to see, Madame Nami, to convince her to support putting Nun in as chairwoman. At first, Madame Nami didn't agree and was about to leave, but Madame and I-san cut a deal. If Madame Nami helped her in the shareholder meeting, she would force Vila to return all the Rabbit Company shares to her. Hearing that, Madame Nami was practically jumping for joy on the inside, even though she still acted all high and mighty on the outside. Very soon after that, the Board of Shareholders meeting was held. Sitting in the chair position, Madame and I-san scanned the room and noticed one shareholder was missing, the one she had lobbied to be on her side earlier. His sudden change of heart made the situation immediately look bad for her. The opposing side quickly took the chance, reminding everyone of the company rule that if less than half the members agreed, the vote would be invalid and they'd be forced to hold it again with a new candidate. However, Madame and I-san kept her cool, firmly stating that no other vote would happen. Nun sitting next to her also looked pretty worried that they might lose this vote. Just as the vibe was getting intense, the meeting room door suddenly swung open, and Madame Nami appeared. Madame and I-san's smile immediately widened, because this was the ace in the hole she had prepared. Madame Nami's presence instantly balanced the power between the two sides, making the opposition side feel worried. The meeting continued, and Madame and I-san proposed putting Nun in to replace Ki-rin. Then she asked everyone to vote. Hands started going up and everyone's eyes were fixed on the final deciding vote. Madame Nami. As her hand was halfway up, the door burst open once again. Ki-rin and Vila appeared, leaving everyone in total shock. As soon as he walked into the room, Ki-rin immediately announced he would run for the position of company chairman himself. This decision almost made Madame and I-san explode with anger, because not only did he not resign as she demanded, but he was directly challenging her. She immediately protested, saying he had no right to run, and Madame Nami also rejected the proposal. However, some other shareholders spoke up in support of Ki-rin, leaving the meeting in a total deadlock. Vila stood there reminding everyone that according to the rules, if the parties couldn't agree, the meeting had to be postponed. But Madame and I-san still firmly refused to stop and screamed at Vila that she had no right to speak here. While the vibe was as hot as a summer noon, Ki-rin suggested he have a private talk with Madame and I-san and Madame Nami, promising that after this talk, he would support whatever decision they made. In the private meeting room, everyone else, including Nun, was asked to step out. After that, Ki-rin bluntly revealed that the drugs in his blood weren't from him using them, but from being poisoned. Vila, standing next to him, immediately pulled out proof, stating she had found the person behind the whole thing. At first, she had suspected many people in the house, but then all signs pointed to the maid, cop. From there, she had secretly investigated and recorded a video showing the maid taking money from Madame Nami. And it was Madame Nami who was behind the incident. She had bribed the maid cop to attack Ki-rin. On the night it happened, the maid cop took advantage of Ki-rin being on the phone to slip the drugs into his tea, which caused him to have a heart attack and faint on the spot. When the video was shown, Madame Nami was practically frozen, while Madame and I-san got so mad she was about to lunge at the person who hurt her son. Luckily, Ki-rin stopped her just in time. Madame Nami was so dazed that she only stayed standing because Ploy showed up just in time to catch her. Vila said she was the one who called Ploy there to let her know what her grandmother had done to Ki-rin. At the same time, she also stated she had no intention of keeping the shares she was holding. She also mentioned that Ki-rin never had a plan to merge the Rabbit Company with the Sutta Group like Madame Nami thought. However, Madame Nami still didn't believe it, because she figured Ki-rin was someone who couldn't go against his mother, and if Madame and I-san demanded it, he would surely do it. At this point, Ki-rin finally revealed the reason he transferred the shares to Vila. Because he knew his mother couldn't force her the way she did to him. After that, Vila said she would keep the video a secret, while also announcing she would transfer all the shares she held to Ki-ta. She also decisively demanded Madame Nami stay away from Ki-rin, and stop using her late granddaughter for her own personal goals. Leaving the room, Vila explained to Ki-rin that transferring the shares to Ki-ta was the only way to stop the merger plan between the two companies that Madame and I-san was pushing. She also didn't forget to thank Ki-rin for standing up to protect her in front of his mother, and for trusting her even before he knew who was behind the poisoning. When asked why, Ki-rin simply said that because she had admitted before that she didn't hate him, he was sure she would never do anything to hurt him. Finally, he also thanked her for finding out the truth, and for the decision to move the shares to Ki-ta. After all the misunderstandings and jealousy, the two of them finally understood each other better, and the seeds of love began to bloom. On the other side, Madame and I-san had no intention of giving up and quickly looked for a way to flip the script. She went to see the young master Sin-ha, hoping to turn the tide. With a very suggestive tone, she dumped all the blame on Vila, claiming she was the reason Nun couldn't become the chairperson as planned. After listening, Sin-ha kept his usual confident attitude, acting as if the previous failure was just a technical glitch. He bluntly stated that he wouldn't make the same mistake this time. However, he didn't forget to set his terms. If he helped Madame and I-san get what she wanted, he wanted her to help him back. When asked what he needed, Sin-ha didn't beat around the bush and said it straight. He wanted to marry Nun. That evening at a restaurant with a very cozy vibe, Ki-rin and Ki-ta took the initiative to invite Vila to dinner as a way to bond. The two of them arrived first and waited in a pretty relaxed mood. A while later, Vila showed up. Just as she saw them and was about to walk over with a soft smile, someone suddenly pulled her away. After waiting for a long time without seeing Vila arrive, Ki-rin called her, but the phone just rang coldly with no answer. The kidnapping of Vila was actually masterminded by Sin-ha. Earlier, he had agreed to help Madame and I-san deal with Vila to vent her anger. So as soon as Vila left the house, Madame and I-san immediately sent her photo and info to Sin-ha, reporting that she was on her way to the restaurant to meet Ki-rin. In response, Sin-ha coldly said he would have his people take good care of her. Hearing that, Madame and I-san was extremely satisfied and even promised that once everything succeeded, she would definitely keep her word to him. Unexpectedly, this conversation was overheard by Nun standing behind them. She questioned her mother about what she was planning when she saw her sending Viola's photo to Sin-ha, and she begged her not to sink deeper into her crimes. But Madame and I-san coldly brushed her off, telling Nun not to interfere, and said if she still considered her a mother, she had to stay quiet. She even confiscated Nun's phone to stop her from exposing the truth. Believing the plan was a guaranteed win this time, Madame and I-san acted very happy and even called Peter over to ask him to find a new teacher for Ki-ta. When Peter questioned why they needed a new teacher when Vila was taking such good care of the boy, she just said it was a backup plan, adding loaded hints that Vila might not be appearing in this house anymore. Right then, Nun showed up with a cold attitude, saying that since Peter wasn't part of the family, he didn't need to know too much. She handed him a check as a thank you for finding a teacher for her nephew, while sarcastically saying she hoped he wouldn't find someone who planned to enter her house just to dig for gold. Madame and I-san scolded her daughter for being too harsh, but Nun remained indifferent and said cryptically that if money could solve everything, she was happy to pay. But contrary to her bitter voice, her eyes looked at Peter with a pleading look, hoping he would take the check. Even though Peter didn't understand what was going on, he still took the check. Later, he discovered Viola's name written on the back of the check, which left him completely flustered. Right then, Madame and I-san appeared behind him asking questions, making him quickly hide the check and leave. Nun watched Peter leave from upstairs and said she hoped no one else would get hurt. In another development, after meeting Ploy to hand over important documents for the rabbit company, Vila headed to the restaurant to meet Ki-rin and Ki-ta. Because she was in a rush, she accidentally left her phone with Ploy. When Peter called Viola's number, the person who picked up was Ploy. She explained that Vila forgot her phone and had gone to the restaurant to meet Ki-rin. Meanwhile, Ki-rin had prepared flowers and was waiting for Vila, but since he couldn't reach her, he started to get worried. He immediately left Ki-ta with an assistant and went out to look for her. Right at that moment, he spotted two men in black dragging a girl who looked a lot like Vila into a white car, so he quickly chased after them. However, he lost sight of the car in the middle of the road because of a motorcycle in the way. The two kidnappers took the girl to an abandoned house in the forest. When they pulled the hood off her head, the person inside wasn't Vila but Ploy, though they still didn't realize they had snatched the wrong person. Actually, right before Vila was about to walk into the restaurant to meet Ki-rin, the person who pulled her away was Peter. Because he was worried about her, he had come to the restaurant to see her, and when he saw her at the door, he pulled her aside to talk about his suspicions. He showed her the check with her name on the back, making her realize she was being targeted. Thanks to that, Vila escaped the trap by a hair. Realizing something was wrong, Peter and Vila immediately went back into the restaurant to find Ki Rin, but he had already left. Only Ki Ta and the assistant were left. They said Ki Rin had just left the restaurant looking very rushed, as if something had happened. The two of them quickly ran outside and found Ploy's jacket on the ground. Sensing something bad, they immediately suspected she had been kidnapped. Earlier, Ploy was bringing the phone to the restaurant to return it to Vila when the two men in black mistook her for the target, making her the replacement victim in the kidnapping. Without hesitating, Vila and Peter called Ki Rin, believing he was closer to the scene. Vila quickly sent the GPS location from her phone, which was currently with Ploy, so Ki Rin could track the trail. Meanwhile, Ploy woke up and realized she was kidnapped. She immediately fought back, landing a kick that sent one man in black tumbling, and then she ran for it. But before she could get far, she was caught again by the two thugs. One of them, seeing her stunning beauty, tried to get creepy with her, but Ploy bit his hand hard. Furious, he punched her, knocking her unconscious. Right at the critical moment, a car sped up and Ki Rin appeared just in time. He immediately jumped in to fight the two thugs, but he couldn't hold off two at once, so he quickly fell into a weak spot. Luckily, Peter and Vila arrived as well. Peter pulled out his heat, making the two guys run away in fear. The three of them rushed to Ploy, but she was unconscious, her face covered in red syrup. Without delay, they immediately rushed her to the hospital for emergency care. Right after that, when Sinha got the news that the plan failed again, he flew into a total rage. He vented his anger on his goons, cursing them as a bunch of useless losers who ruined everything. At the hospital, Vila worriedly checked on Ki Rin because he had taken a pretty bad beating earlier. Her concern made Ki Rin as happy as a kid getting praised by his mom. He suggested calling the police to find the culprit, but Vila stopped him, stating she already knew who was behind it. She was certain Ploy was just caught by mistake, and the real target was her. Vila mentioned she saw a car with a license plate very similar to Sinha's car, the one she had seen at the bar before. That made her even more convinced he was the mastermind. At home, Madame and Isun started feeling uneasy when she heard the plan failed. Nun was worried about her brother because it was late and he wasn't home yet. She kept demanding her phone back to call Sinha, telling him to stop because she didn't want anyone else getting hurt. But Madame and Isun got angry, scolding her daughter for taking the enemy's side. Just as the mother and daughter were arguing, Vila and Ki Rin returned. Facing Madame and Isun, Vila coldly congratulated her on the failed plan and stated that her time to die hadn't come yet. Her defiant words left Madame and Isun speechless with rage. The next morning, the news of Ploy being kidnapped and assaulted spread quickly through the papers. Witnesses reported seeing a suspicious car at the scene, and after an investigation, that car was identified as belonging to the son of a major group, a guy known for being hot-headed and full of scandals. This exact scandal sent Sarah's family into a total crisis. They couldn't sign a contract with Put's company, Nun's ex-boyfriend. Having lost both money and face, Sarah flew into a massive rage, venting his anger on his troublemaker son with a brutal beating. After suffering heavy losses in both money and reputation, Sarah couldn't sit still and immediately went to Madame and Isun's house to unload his fury. He dumped all the responsibility on her, claiming she was the one who egged his son on to do wrong things, which made his company unstable and caused several contracts to vanish in the blink of an eye. Not stopping at blaming her, he also pressured Madame and Isun to quickly clean up the mess, or else they'd share the fate together. On top of that, he conveniently used the fact that she once asked him to lobby the board as a blackmail card, saying if things weren't settled peacefully, he was ready to put it all in the papers. After saying that, he left in a huff, leaving Madame and Isun frozen, her mind probably spinning as she didn't know how to handle it. The next morning, the situation got even tighter when Madame and Isun's house was surrounded by reporters. In a fit of anger, she immediately blamed everything on Vila, claiming she was the cause of all the trouble. However, Ki Rin spoke up to defend her, saying she was misunderstanding Vila. Contrary to the tension around her, Vila stayed extremely calm. She bluntly pointed out that if there was a misunderstanding, it was just a small thing, but Madame and Isun teaming up with Sinha to hurt Ploy was clearly no accident. Not stopping there, Vila made the vibe in the house even heavier by mentioning that Ploy had woken up and stated the truth would soon be exposed. She said if the madam was scared, she could get down on her knees and beg. Then maybe she would help her get out of this mess. Vila remembered when she was a kid and didn't want her mother to be framed, so she had to kneel at that woman's feet. And now, she wanted revenge on Madame and Isun in the exact same way. Just as the vibe was as tense as a piano wire, Nun and Sinha appeared. His presence didn't cool things down, it only made everything hotter. With a face full of confidence, Sinha quickly washed his hands of everything related to Ploy's kidnapping, and he pulled out evidence, a video interview of Ploy in the hospital. What shocked everyone was that in the video, Ploy completely denied being kidnapped or assaulted. She claimed it was all just a misunderstanding, and she simply had an accident and fainted. Behind that turning black into white act, it turned out everything was staged from the start. Madame Nami forced Ploy to lie because she had taken money from Sinha. He had used 3% of the shares in his family's jewelry company to buy her silence. With a totally contemptuous tone, he even mocked Madame Nami, saying that for someone with neither power nor money like her, those shares were already too generous. Insulted by someone young enough to be her grandkid, Madame Nami still had to grit her teeth and take it, because every word he said was a cold, hard truth. Not stopping there, Sinha bluntly threatened that if she dared to oppose him, it meant opposing his whole family, which was definitely not a smart move. When Madame Nami went to the hospital to visit Ploy, the girl couldn't hold it in anymore and questioned her why she could force her own granddaughter to pretend like nothing happened just for her own benefit, even after she had been assaulted and kidnapped. But in response, the older woman dropped some bitter words, saying the person Sinha was targeting wasn't Ploy, and the fact that she got hurt was simply because she interfered in Violet's business. It was as if all the pain she suffered was her own fault. Hearing those heartless words, Ploy completely broke down. She tearfully asked if she had died, would it still just be her own fault? In the end, she could only sob in total despair. Meanwhile, over at Ki-Rin's place, the vibe wasn't any better. After showing proof that he was innocent, Sinha became even more smug. He even had the nerve to tell Vila that they might become family later, then reached out his hand as if waiting for a reconciling handshake. But Vila shoved it away flatly, making Madame Anaisun's angry blood boil. She rushed over to scream at her for being disrespectful, forced her to apologize to Sinha, and then everything quickly turned into a massive screaming match, and she even tried to hit Vila. The scene was total chaos. To settle the situation, Nun suddenly collapsed to the floor and fainted, forcing the brawl to stop. A while later, Vila brought water into Nun's room and said straight out that she knew Nun was just faking it. Nun opened her eyes, still keeping a nasty attitude, even telling her to get out of the room. But Vila gently thanked her for helping her escape that chaotic situation. Contrary to that sincerity, Nun got mad and blamed Vila, saying that ever since she appeared, her family life had been completely turned upside down. Vila didn't argue because she knew Nun disliked her, but she still sincerely advised Nun to stay away from Sinha, because he wasn't as simple as he looked. But Nun didn't want to listen and immediately kicked her out of the room. Before leaving, Vila still left a warning. If she didn't want trouble, she better stay away from him. Returning to her room, Vila started to blame herself. She realized she was becoming soft by caring about others, when her original goal was revenge. She reminded herself that this family's business shouldn't be her concern. Right then, Ki-Rin walked in, and a confrontation between the two quickly blew up. Vila coldly questioned him on how his mother felt since she couldn't hurt her. Ki-Rin begged her to give him more time, but Vila sarcastically said that giving him time meant giving his mother more time to get rid of her. Ki-Rin tried to calm her down by holding her hand and asking for more time to settle everything, but Vila didn't believe him anymore. She bluntly said if he couldn't do it, he shouldn't try to act like a good person. He should just go back to being a mother's boy like before. When she turned to leave, Ki-Rin quickly hugged her from behind, tearfully asking if in her eyes everything he did was just a lie. He admitted he was truly terrified when he saw her in danger. He was scared he might lose her, but Vila reminded him that between them it was just a deal. Once it was done, they'd go their separate ways. Ki-Rin didn't deny it, but he said he was also a human with a heart and feelings, and that was exactly why he was scared of losing her. He even said painfully that someone who only knows hate like her wouldn't understand those feelings. Those words hit Vila right in her deepest weak spot. She left in anger, but as soon as she stepped out the door, she couldn't stop the tears from falling. For the first time, she felt torn between two things: hate and love. As for Ki-Rin, after being rejected, he couldn't find any peace either. He remembered his mother's words that Vila was just using him. She even said that in love, whoever loves first is the loser. Those words were like undercurrents rising in his heart, making him start to waver between logic and emotion. The next day, Peter went to the hospital to visit Ploy, but she was in total avoidance mode. The two of them kept pulling the bed curtain back and forth like they were playing hide and seek. To end the game, Peter faked being in pain, which gave Ploy a real scare, but before she could get too worried, she realized he was just acting. Annoyed, she called him a liar, but Peter coolly shot back that she was lying to the press and everyone else, so they weren't that different. He told her straight up that he didn't come to force her to change her earlier statement, but simply because he was worried about her. But Ploy was full of hurt right now, angry and feeling low. She said they didn't have a relationship for him to care about her, and if even her own grandma didn't care, what right did he have to worry? Hearing that, Peter gently replied that even if no one else cared, he still did. However, Ploy had too many wounds in her heart to believe him. She turned her back, climbed into bed, and cried like a river. Peter stood there helpless, not knowing how to comfort her, so he quietly left. Out in the hallway, he ran into Vila, who was also there to see Ploy. Peter told her straight out that their suspicions were right. Ploy had to lie to the press because her own grandma forced her. Right after that, Vila ran into Madame Nami by the elevator. As soon as she saw her, Nami coldly told Vila to forget about getting Ploy to give evidence to take down Sinha, but Vila calmly replied that she didn't come to force Ploy. because she understood how much suffering Ploy felt being forced to lie to protect a criminal. Back at home, Vila fell into another mess with Madame and I's-son. When Ki-rin went back to the room, he saw her dress on the floor and it was wet, giving him a bad feeling. Remembering his son said that Grandma and Vila had just talked, he immediately went down to ask Nun. But Nun didn't know either, so she told him to go ask their mom. So the two siblings went together, but as soon as they opened the door, they saw a total mess. Cups and glasses were smashed everywhere. Panicked, they ran into the bathroom and found Madame and I's-son unconscious in the tub. They immediately called for help and rushed her to the hospital. Standing outside the ER, Nun was incredibly upset, thinking her mom was in this state because of too much stress, and the main cause was Vila. She also said she found sleeping pills and suspected her mom wanted to die the same way she had tried to before. Ki-rin tried to calm his sister down, saying they shouldn't rush to blame Vila without knowing the truth. However, he also noticed scratches on Viola's hand. When he asked what happened, she just dodged it, saying she probably just bumped into something. Later, Peter came to the hospital to check on Madame and I's-son and asked what happened. Vila just said she wasn't sure what the deal was, only that she heard from Nun that she had seemingly taken sleeping pills. At that moment, the whole previous event flashed through her mind. It turned out Madame and I's-son had called her over to force her to sign an agreement saying that if she ever left Ki-rin, she wouldn't get any assets. Vila didn't just refuse. She tore the agreement right up, saying she only wanted back what was hers and wasn't the type to crave other people's money or men like someone else. This comment was like poking a hornet's nest, making Madame and I's-son explode instantly. She lunged to pull her, which left the scratches on Viola's hand. She insisted everything belonged to her son and Vila better not touch it. But Vila didn't flinch and dropped a bombshell, saying everyone knew Ki-rin wasn't the group owner's biological son, and even Nun might not be his biological daughter either. Those words made Madame and I's-son lose total control, and she slapped her so hard her head spun. Vila didn't back down either and immediately went into combat mode. The two of them went at it like an action movie. It peaked when the woman almost choked her to death, but Vila managed to push her off and escape. But after that, Madame and I's-son quickly switched to acting mode. She faked being weak, saying that if Vila wanted her dead, she should just say it. Aggravated, Vila stepped forward and yelled that yes, she wanted her dead but not an easy death. She wanted her to live long enough to watch everything collapse and see herself destroyed with her own eyes. Only then would she be satisfied. What Vila didn't know was that all of those words were being recorded. It was all a trap Madame and I's-son had set. After Vila left, she staged the scene, scattering sleeping pills around the tub and lying in it as if she had been pushed to the edge. A perfect play to turn herself into a suicide victim and push all the guilt onto Vila. In the hospital hallway, while Ki-rin was pacing around worried about his mom, Min suddenly appeared. She asked about Madame and I's-son, but she was really there to pour gasoline on the fire. She even bragged that the madam had just given her a pair of earrings, and before she could even show them off, this happened. Right after that, Min mentioned that Madame and I's-son had come to her before, talking about family troubles where the root cause, according to her, was Vila, who was said to always want her dead. Min didn't really care about the woman's condition. She just wanted to use the chance to make Ki-rin waver and create a spot for herself to slide in. Min's words left Ki-rin in a total mess. Right then, Vila also arrived at the hospital, and as soon as she ran into Min, the two of them went to war. Min sarcastically called Vila a wild, untamable animal that would sooner or later bite the people next to her. Vila shot back just as sharply, saying that no matter how toxic she was, it was nothing compared to the type of person who gossips behind people's backs. Realizing Ki-rin was starting to doubt her, she bluntly said that even if she wanted back what belonged to her, she had never done anything lowlife behind anyone's back. Before the face-off could end, a nurse came out to report that Madame and I's-son's condition wasn't looking great. Right then, Nun and Pat arrived and heard the news. Sitting outside the room, Nun lost control and lunged to slap Vila without holding back. But Vila wasn't having it and slapped her right back on the spot. Seeing Nun get hit, Pat aggressively charged forward to lay a hand on her, but Ki-rin blocked him, even giving him a warning blow and coldly asking what he thought he was doing to his wife. That scene made Nun so hurt she burst into tears, blaming Ki-rin for only protecting his wife while abandoning his sister, even calling him unfilial. Ki-rin tried to stay calm, saying he'd take those words as her being too upset to think straight. Nun calmed down a bit after that, but Pat stood nearby adding salt and vinegar, whispering that she was totally right and that Ki-rin cared more about an outsider than his family. Hearing that, the vibe got even more tense. Right then, the doctor came out to report that Madame and I's-son's condition had stabilized. The doctor dropped a shocker. There were absolutely no sleeping pills in her blood like everyone thought. It was possible she just fainted in the tub, and there was a bruise on her head. Hearing that, Nun immediately went back home with only one thought in her head. Vila was the one who hurt her mom. She charged over to confront her, asking straight up if Vila intended to kill her mother. Vila stayed calm, admitting they had an argument and a physical fight, but when she left, Madame and I's-son was completely fine. She insisted she wasn't the one who caused it, and told everyone to stop making baseless accusations. Nun kept pushing, asking what they could have possibly argued about to get that physical. But Vila chose to stay silent. She didn't want to bring up their earlier argument, not because she was scared, but because she knew that if that truth came out right now, those two siblings would be the ones most deeply hurt. That night, Vila was in her room alone and old memories rushed back like a slow-motion movie. She clearly remembered when she was little, she accidentally found out that Madame and Isun was secretly seeing Pat. And he was actually Nun's real biological father. That secret was like a thorn stuck deep in her heart for all those years. But right after that, she remembered her dad's advice from back then, that Nun was still her sister, that the child was innocent, and no matter how wrong the adults were, she shouldn't take her anger out on a kid who knew nothing. He even stressed that she had to love and protect her sister. Because of those words, Vila had always tried to hold it in. No matter how much hatred she carried, she didn't want Nun to be the one who had to pay for it. And that was why she chose to stay silent and not reveal the truth about the argument with Madame and Isun to Nun and Ki-rin. She understood that once the truth came out, they would be the ones hurt the most. While lost in thought, Ki-rin suddenly walked in, cutting through it all. He gently took her hand and asked why she was hiding what happened between her and his mom. He said that if she said she didn't hurt his mom, he would believe her. Hearing that, Vila immediately asked him back. If she said his own mother choked her and even wanted to kill her, would he believe that? That question made Ki-rin freeze. But instead of answering straight, he dodged it, only saying he hoped she could forgive his mother. That made Vila even more bitter. She said straight up that he didn't believe her, which was why he could easily ask her to let it go. And she insisted that the crimes Madame and Isun committed weren't something you could just forget. To prove it, Vila slowly took off her jacket, revealing a long scar on her back, the mark of her past trauma. Her tears fell as she tearfully asked how she could let go of everything when she had suffered so much. Seeing that scar and her pain, Ki-rin was stunned. He had no words left to defend anyone. He could only hold her and say he would make up for everything she had to go through. In that rush of emotion, the two of them finally crossed the line and officially belonged to each other. The next morning, the house was happy and full of laughter. Kita excitedly bragged that his dad just bought him a ton of new stories and begged Vila to read them to him tonight. As soon as she nodded, Ki-rin immediately cut in, openly objecting and saying half-jokingly that if she read stories to the kid all night, how was the dad supposed to live? The look he gave her along with a suggestive smile made everyone understand the dark intention behind it. So the dad and son started a tense negotiation over dividing up Vila's time. The final result. Kita got the first 2 hours of the evening, and the rest belonged to Ki-rin. While things were happy, Nun appeared and dropped a sarcastic comment about how their mom was still in the hospital, while everyone here was laughing like nothing was wrong. Ki-rin gently replied that their mom was stable and everyone should relax. Kita quickly pulled Nun to the dining table, mentioning there was the shrimp porridge she liked today. Nun acted cold at first, but when Vila took the initiative to scoop a bowl for her and Kita begged her, she reluctantly tried it. To her surprise, it hit the spot, and she kept eating even though she tried to keep a cold face. Later, Vila and her friend went to visit her old teacher, R.A. Guy. Her friend noticed Vila had changed a lot. Her eyes were bright, and she always had a smile on her face. Clearly, something was going on in her heart. When asked if she had stepped into love, Vila didn't answer straight, only saying that maybe because Ki-rin promised to make it up to her, she felt happier. Hearing that, her friend reminded her not to put too much trust in one person, because she'd be in a lot of pain when disappointed. Vila gently replied that she would trust him just like she had always trusted her friend. In another development, Peter went big by sneaking Ploy out of the hospital for some fresh air to break the stuffy vibe. Not only that, he took her to eat the exact cupcake she loved. When Ploy curiously asked how he knew, Peter coolly answered that he studied it from her social media. Hearing that, she called him out for stalking her, but he gave a super sweet excuse that it was called behavioral research. While eating happily, Ploy accidentally got some frosting on her lip. Peter saw it and gently reached out to wipe it for her, making them both suddenly freeze up. The vibe got uncomfortably awkward. Right at the climax, Min appeared like a toxic wind, ruining everything. As soon as she saw the bandage on Ploy's hand, she knew immediately that Ploy had snuck out of the hospital and threatened to call Madame Nami to snitch. Ploy panicked and lunged to grab the phone, but Min pushed her away. Luckily, Peter caught her in time. She was still going to make the call, but right then a call came in reporting that Madame and Isun had woken up, putting a temporary stop to everything. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Vila also went to visit Madame and Isun. Walking into the room and seeing her lying on the hospital bed, painful memories from the past came rushing back. She remembered her and her mom being forced to clean up the mess she caused, and her mom's advice that no matter how much it hurt, she had to use that pain to become stronger. Back in the present, Vila stood there looking at the woman who caused her so much trauma and admitted that she was the one who created the strong person she was today. But ironically, she didn't know which path to choose, letting go or continuing the hate, because either choice hurt. She turned to leave, but right then Madame and Isun woke up. As soon as she opened her eyes and saw Vila, she panicked like she saw a ghost. screaming at the top of her lungs and begging her not to kill her. Right after that, Ki-rin and Nun ran in, witnessing her god-tier acting performance. She was shaking, insisting that Vila was the one who shoved her head underwater and tried to kill her. Ki-rin stood nearby trying to calm her down, saying she might just be confused since she just woke up, but Madame Inai-san kept insisting she wasn't mistaken. Every single word was aimed at turning Vila into the culprit and herself into the perfect victim. Madame Inai-san was still acting deeply pained when Min unexpectedly walked in, bringing a new piece of evidence, a phone containing a recording of Vila's words when she was aggravated. Once the recording was played, the vibe in the room instantly became suffocatingly tense. Ki-rin didn't hesitate. He pulled Vila outside to grill her. He believed she still hadn't told him the full truth. Vila was flustered and didn't know how to explain when Peter appeared. Like she'd found an escape, she quickly left. Meanwhile, inside the room, Madame Inai-san's play continued. But as soon as Pat walked in, she immediately stopped acting. The two looked at each other with a suggestive smile. It turned out everything was just an elaborately staged play. Madame Inai-san and Pat had worked together to create the fake suicide to put Vila in a bad spot. Back home, Inai-san kept playing the victim, acting terrified whenever she saw Vila. When they were alone, she was normal, but as soon as Vila showed up, she immediately started acting weak and scared. Right then, Sinha appeared, acting like a good son-in-law protecting his mother-in-law. He loudly scolded Vila and even tried to hit her, but before he could do anything, Ki-rin rushed in to block Vila and slapped Sinha right in the face. Sinha quickly made excuses, saying he saw Vila about to hurt Inai-san and he just wanted to protect her, but Ki-rin coldly replied that no one in this house had seen Vila hurt his mom, but everyone just saw Sinha try to hit his wife. To escape the suffocating vibe in the house, Vila went to talk to Peter. She said she checked the security cameras, but coincidentally, they were all broken. She insisted that Inai-san purposely provoked her to make her blurt out negative things, and the recording was definitely edited. Seeing Vila sad, Peter gently held her hand to comfort her. Right then, Ploy walked in, saw this, got jealous and turned around to leave. Peter rushed after her to explain, but Ploy just said some moody, sarcastic things. For someone as inexperienced as Peter, he could think until doomsday and still not understand what she was hinting at. But even though she was just jealous of Vila, seeing Vila and Min picking through each other's hair made Ploy immediately switch to Vila's side. She even carefully helped Vila treat the wound from her earlier clash with Min. Still sounding moody, she said everyone cared about Vila from Ki-rin to Peter. Then she asked straight out if Vila really hurt Inai-san. Vila didn't answer directly. She just asked back if Min believed her. Min answered bluntly that she didn't believe Vila was perfect, but she wasn't stupid enough to believe everything Vila said. Hearing that, Vila just gave a soft smile. She said if Min really thought she was a bad person, she wouldn't have stood up to protect her just now. Their conversation slowly became more sincere. Vila finally found someone who could listen to her. She opened up that in this family, even Ki-rin was starting to see her like an outsider. After Inai-san's suicide attempt, Ki-rin's previous promises might be hard to keep, so she didn't want to expect anything anymore. But Ki-rin, standing behind them, accidentally heard those words. He quietly said he would keep his promise to her no matter what. Right after that, Ki-rin called someone to ask if the paperwork to take him and the family abroad was finished. It seemed like he was secretly preparing a big plan. To get more support, he met his sister and revealed the truth. Vila is actually Ha-tai, the daughter of Tat's first wife. He hoped his sister would agree to return everything that belonged to Ha-tai, and after giving everything back to Vila, the whole family would move abroad together. He would take care of her and their mom. However, his sister reacted fiercely. She couldn't accept the truth, thinking everything belonged to her, and there was no reason to give it back to Vila. But after Ki-rin patiently convinced her, she finally calmed down and said she needed more time to think. Right after that, she went to Inai-san's room, planning to ask about Ha-tai. But as soon as she walked in, she caught Pat in the room, and Inai-san didn't look sick or weak at all. The truth appearing right in front of her made her angry. She questioned why Pat was in her mom's room and then turned to leave. Unexpectedly, her leaving accidentally saved little Ki-ta. Earlier, when his ball rolled into Grandma's room, he had run in to pick it up, but he accidentally discovered his grandma was faking her illness. Just as he was about to get caught, the door opened and none appeared. When everyone left, the boy had a chance to sneak out safely. However, with the innocent soul of a child, finding out his relative was lying hurt him deeply. He hid behind a chair and burst into tears. Right then Vila appeared. He tearfully said his grandma was faking her illness to hurt her. Fearing this would affect the boy's mental state, Vila gently hugged him, reassuring him that he might have heard wrong, then softly comforted him to calm him down. On the other side, after chasing her daughter to her room, Inai-san changed her attitude. She said Pat was someone who had been with the family for a long time, and told her to treat him like family. But Nun didn't trust her anymore and asked straight out if her mother was the one behind the harm done to Tianai and Ha-tai. She said she would go find Pat herself to get the truth and didn't need her mom's explanation. Just as she was about to leave, and Ai-sun immediately pulled her back. She tearfully said that everything she did was for her children. She claimed that when they were little, Ha-tai almost pushed her into the pool, and she was the one who saved her life. She also said T&I had threatened her about Nun's real identity, that she wasn't Tot's biological daughter. Everything she did, according to her, was to protect her daughter and keep her spot in the family. Once she won back her daughter's trust, she went back to her room, immediately wiped away her crocodile tears, and casually put on makeup while dancing to the music. Right then Vila walked in. Without beating around the bush, she bluntly asked if she didn't need to fake being sick anymore. And Ai-sun didn't deny it. She smugly replied that she just wanted to stay in a good mood and there was nothing wrong with that. Vila looked straight at her and asked why she would gamble her own life just to hurt her. If Ki-rin and Nun knew their mother's true face, how heartbroken would they be? But Ai-sun gave a smug laugh and said that to kick Vila out of this house, she could do anything, and everyone would definitely believe her over her. While talking, she took her lipstick and started drawing all over her face. Vila started feeling uneasy and asked what she was doing. She just coldly replied that she was going to repeat what she once did to her mother. Memories of the past flashed back. Years ago, she had also drawn on her own face and framed her mother, T&I, to win Tot's total trust. And now she was repeating that exact same trick. In a split second, Ai-sun suddenly screamed, faking a panic. Vila rushed over to stop her, but she was unexpectedly shoved back onto the floor, and the woman even choked her. During the struggle, Vila tried to flip the situation to defend herself. But at that exact moment everyone burst in. The scene in front of them made it impossible for her to prove she was just trying to stop Ai-sun's crazy actions. Seeing her two kids walk in, Ai-sun immediately screamed like she had just been attacked, shaking and pointing at Vila, her voice full of panic, accusing her of trying to kill her. Nun instantly got angry and without thinking started screaming at Vila non-stop, making the vibe in the room incredibly tense. Ki-rin didn't say much. He quickly pulled Vila outside, his eyes cold and full of disappointment. He grilled her, asking why she wanted to hurt his mom when he was trying to do everything right to protect her. Yet she was the one making things worse. Vila was almost in despair, only able to beg him to believe her because she didn't do anything, but the reply was coldly cruel. Ki-rin said he couldn't believe her anymore. At that moment, Viola's heart completely shattered. In her head, she suddenly remembered Teacher Aragai's warning that Ai-sun was a demon, and would do anything to get what she wanted. Back then, the teacher also said that to defeat a demon, you had to become a demon yourself. Viola's eyes slowly changed, no longer weak or pleading. She looked straight at Ki-rin, her voice low, saying his mother was a demon who fooled everyone too easily, and she only lost because she was too weak. She said she wasn't even half as evil as her. Right then, the police showed up along with Sin-ha. Nun came downstairs and said she was the one who asked Sin-ha to call the cops to take Vila away. Vila instinctively looked at Ki-rin as if waiting for something, but this time he didn't stand up to protect her. He just coldly said to take her away. That short line made Viola's heart feel like it was torn to pieces. She didn't fight back. She just quietly let the police take her away. Tears rolling down her face, but her eyes turned empty. Her heart seemingly went cold. In the room, when Ai-sun heard from Nun that Vila had been taken away by the police, she gave a slight, calculating smirk. The police car rolled away, taking Vila, but on the road it was blocked by a motorcycle. As soon as the police stepped out to check, they were immediately shot down by a man in a black shirt. He walked closer and aimed his gun at Vila, making the air around them turn eerily quiet. A while later, Singa brought a police officer back to Kirin's house to let him know that Vela had been in an accident. They said there was a shootout between the police and a group of criminals, leaving 2 cops dead and 1 criminal wiped out. Besides that, they found a blood trail leading all the way to the riverbank, so they suspected the criminals had murdered Vela and dumped her body. Hearing this news, Kirin was super upset, but Singa coldly said some harsh words, claiming the police had done their best and his wife was just out of luck. Madame and Ai-sun also chimed in bitterly, saying this was karma for what Vela had done to her in the past. The police reassured them that they would keep investigating and searching until they had clear results. Hearing that made Kirin feel a little more at ease. Right after that, Madame and Ai-sun met privately with Singa by the door. The two were happy because their plan to harm Vela seemed to have worked out perfectly. Right at that moment, one of Singa's guys called to report that they had disposed of Vela's body. Hearing that, Madame and Ai-sun couldn't hide her smugness. She kept laughing, thanked Singa over and over, and even promised to give him whatever he wanted. But these 2 wicked people had no idea that the truth wasn't what they thought. Their whole conversation was overheard by Nun, who was standing behind the door, leaving her in disbelief that her own mother could be so evil. Inside the house, little Kita didn't get to see his favorite teacher, so he kept asking his dad where Vela went and why she hadn't come back for so long. Kirin was awkwardly trying to figure out how to explain it to his son when Min suddenly showed up. She brought gifts for Kita to win him over, but Kita just ignored her and ran away, putting her in an awkward spot. Kirin had to explain that the boy was probably just still sad about Vela, which was why he acted that way. Min took the chance to show she wanted to take Vela's place in the family, even hinting that if Kieran chose her, his position in the company would be much stronger. However, Kieran coldly replied that Vela was still his wife, then used work as an excuse to walk away. After that, Kieran went to an abandoned hospital, walked around to the back and stepped into a secret room. When he pulled back the curtain, Vela was there. She was still alive. Seeing him, she immediately questioned why he handed her over to the cops just to secretly save her and hide her here. Kieran explained he did it to get her away from his mom, so she wouldn't keep getting targeted by her. Before that, he had accidentally overheard a conversation between Vela and little Kita, which was how he found out Madame and Isun faked her illness just to hurt Vela. Handing her over to the police was actually a way to protect her. So, right when the cops took Vela away, Kieran immediately called Peter to tell him about it. That's why, in that dangerous moment, Peter and Kieran's assistant showed up just in time and saved her life at the very last second. Peter even interrogated the guy behind the hit, but knew he wouldn't spit out the truth so easily. Right then, the guy's phone rang, and Peter forced the man in black to answer it and lie that he had already taken care of Vela's body. Because of that, she was able to escape death. Kieran promised that with just a little more time, he would give back everything that belonged to her, and then take his mom away from this place. But Vela immediately pushed back, saying she came back for revenge, to make the people who hurt her pay the price, not just to walk away so easily. Kieran replied softly that for his mom, having to give up all her wealth and power would be the heaviest punishment. He also said that after taking his mom away, he himself would disappear so she would never have to see them again. Saying that, his heart seemed to break, tears quietly rolled down his face, and he turned around to leave, leaving Vela heartbroken and crying her eyes out. These two people loved each other deeply but were torn between love and family. Their tears could form a river. On the other side, Peter was buying a lot of food to bring to Vela, but before he could leave, Ploy suddenly showed up. She asked who he was buying food for, and Peter quickly brushed it off, saying he was just buying it for himself. Ploy immediately made a sarcastic comment, saying that the person he cared about most, Vela, had just been in an accident, yet he was acting so chill. He didn't seem worried at all, which made her feel very confused. She even bluntly suspected that he probably knew where Vela was. The two went back and forth for a bit, and taking advantage of Ploy talking nonstop, Peter quietly slipped away. Over at Madame and Isun's house, the mood was super happy. She was joyfully throwing a celebration party with Napat because she thought she had successfully gotten rid of Vela. Right while the two were gloating, Kieran suddenly showed up. He said he had some private things to talk to his mom about, so he asked Napat to leave. After that, he handed Madame and Isun a piece of paper. The moment she looked at it, she froze. It was a DNA test result between Nun and Napat, showing that they were biologically father and daughter. Kieran said he should have suspected the relationship between his mom and Napat a long time ago. Before that, when he asked Vela what she and his mom had been arguing about, she absolutely refused to say, making him feel like something was fishy. Later, he also noticed Napat taking care of Nun way more than normal, and that's when he started getting suspicious. He secretly took hair samples from both of them to get tested, and the truth turned out to be exactly what he guessed. Kieran demanded that his mom stop all the bad things she was doing and give back everything that didn't belong to her. But Madame and Isun was still stubborn, making excuses that everything she did was for Kieran and Nun, and absolutely refused to give up what she had. However, Kieran said straight up that neither he nor Nun belonged to the Liang family, and they didn't deserve what they had. After that, he said he had everything ready. He was going to put everything back right where it belonged and then take his mom away. He also let her know he was looking for Hat Hai to give everything back to her. Kieran advised his mom to stop being selfish and do the right thing, so he could somewhat make up for the mistakes she had made. Faced with her son's firmness and sharp points, Madame and Isun had to switch up her strategy. She burst into tears, begging him not to let Nun know the truth about her background, and at the same time asked for more time to get things in order, promising she would leave after that. As for Nun, after accidentally overhearing the whole story about her mom teaming up with Singa to hurt someone else, she totally broke down. Too heartbroken and disappointed, she hit up a bar to drink and blow off some steam. There, she unexpectedly ran into Put again. He came with his new girlfriend, but when he saw Nun drinking alone, he immediately ditched his girl to run over and check on her. Right in front of everyone, he didn't hold back on showing his feelings for Nun, which made his new girlfriend so mad she slapped him across the face and stormed off. After that, Put honestly confessed that he still loved and cared about her. Those sincere words touched Nun, and in a moment of weakness, they shared a passionate kiss, and one thing led to another. The next morning, they both woke up in a great mood, even talking about a future with a happy wedding. However, things quickly changed when Nun got a call from her mom and had to rush back home. Madame and Isun grilled her about where she had been all night, but Nun just replied that she was a grown adult and spending the night out was no big deal. She was about to bring up her plans to marry Put, but before she could say a word, Madame and Isun pulled out a voice recording sent by someone else. In it, it was Nun's own voice admitting she was involved in the fatal accident from before. Hearing her own words back, Nun completely panicked. She was terrified that with the recording and related evidence, the case would be reopened and she would have to face the law. However, Madame Anai-san calmed her down, saying she would protect her at all costs, and the only person who could help her right now was Singa. Nun understood that if she married Put, she might drag him into her mess. So, when her mom suggested marrying Singa, she reluctantly agreed. In just a short amount of time, the wedding between Singa and Nun took place. However, the bride didn't look happy at all. In a corner of the wedding, Napat could only quietly watch his daughter on her big day. Unable to reveal his true identity, he just silently wished her the best. Later, when he found out Madame Anai-san was getting ready to go abroad, Napat was totally shocked. He questioned why she would so easily give up the Li-ing family's wealth, because he wanted his daughter to get her share of it. These words made Madame Anai-san panic, and she immediately told him to keep his mouth shut. Napat couldn't hide his frustration, saying that after everything that had happened, he wanted to openly be Nun's dad. At his own daughter's wedding, he could only sit in the back as an employee, which absolutely broke his heart. In response, Madame Anai-san coldly threatened him, saying if he didn't want everything ruined, he had to keep the secret and never mention Nun's background again. She explained that going overseas was just a stalling tactic to avoid clashing with Kiran, because when Kiran said he was going to look for Hat Hai, she believed that person had already been dealt with, and when he couldn't find her, he would drop his plans to make amends and everything would go back to normal. The next day, just as she promised Kiran, after Nun's wedding was over, Madame Anai-san got ready to leave for England as planned. However, while on her way to the airport, she suddenly got a call from her son-in-law Singa. The news he brought left her dead in her tracks. Vela was still alive. Singa said his guys messed up the plan because during the hit, someone suddenly showed up to save Vela, and out of panic they had to lie about it. As soon as she heard someone had saved Vela, Madame Anai-san immediately guessed who it was, so she quickly turned the car around and headed back home. At home, Kiran and his sister were talking when they suddenly saw Madame Anai-san come back. Right as Kiran was about to ask why she returned, she slapped him hard across the face. She angrily demanded to know why he knew Vela was alive but dared to hide it from her, and even helped her. She coldly asked why he was taking the side of the person who once tried to kill her. Kiran didn't back down either, firing back and asking how she knew Vela was alive when even the police hadn't found a trace of her yet. Standing nearby, Nun also got suspicious about how her mom knew Vela's whereabouts so fast. Feeling cornered, Madame Anai-san quickly claimed that someone had tipped her off. Right at that moment, Singa showed up, saying he had a friend in the police force, and that friend told him they had caught another guy involved in the police car ambush. That criminal confessed someone had saved Vela. Taking the chance, Madame Anai-san emphasized that Vela was now a wanted criminal for murder, and if Kiran kept hiding her, it meant he was an accomplice. She also declared that as long as Vela wasn't caught, she wasn't leaving, and even if Kiran threatened her, she wouldn't go. After that, Nun turned to interrogate Kiran about the things he had been hiding from her, as well as the deal between him and their mom. When Kiran said he wanted to give back all the wealth that originally belonged to Hat Hai, Nun fiercely objected. She argued that she was also Mr. Tae's daughter, so she had the right to inherit. If they gave everything back, her husband's family would look down on her. Because he didn't want his sister to get hurt, Kiran stayed quiet and didn't tell her the real truth behind his decision. Meanwhile, P. Rai went to visit Vela and broke the news that Madame Anai-san wasn't going overseas anymore, thanks to a friend who looked into it. She figured the reason was that the madam already knew Vela was still alive. P. Rai even sarcastically said that Kiran was all talk and no action, because he had promised earlier to give everything back once his mom left, but now that plan had totally fallen apart. Even so, Vela still defended Kiran, saying that maybe he was just trying to handle things his own way. Still, P. Rai reminded Vela that she was currently facing an attempted murder charge, so she had to be super careful. Vela swore she would find the evidence to prove that Madame Anai-san was lying, and that someone was definitely helping her out. The person she suspected was Min. Right at that moment, P. Rai got a text from him, who was taking care of her teacher, Ragui. The heavyset woman was asking her to send more money to buy medicine, and take the teacher to the doctor. Hearing that her teacher was sick, Vela went over to visit her. While there, Vela saw with her own eyes how cruelly Im was treating her teacher. Not only did she not take good care of her, but she even grabbed her face to force-feed her, and even threw out harsh words, calling the teacher annoying and wishing she would just die to save her the trouble. It was only when Im left that Vela finally stepped out. Seeing her, the teacher was incredibly happy. Vela gently took care of her, fed her, gave her something to drink, and then asked about how Im was treating her. Even though she knew she was being treated badly, the teacher still defended Im, saying that Im was only like that when she was mad, and asked Vela not to blame her. Meanwhile, after getting the money from P. Rai, Im happily went to buy food for herself instead of buying medicine for the teacher. On her way back, Im was stopped by P. Rai, who confronted her about the money that was supposed to be for medicine. Im awkwardly made excuses, saying she was just buying a little bit of food and was about to go buy the medicine right then. But P. Rai straight up shoved the food into Im's mouth, making her taste exactly what she had put the teacher through, and warned her that if it happened again, the consequences wouldn't be as simple as this time. After leaving, Rai immediately called Vela and let her know that she had taught that woman a lesson using the exact same cruel way she had treated the teacher. However, Rai had no idea that her entire conversation was being eavesdropped on by the heavy-set lady. Wasting no time, she immediately called to tip off Madame and Isun, revealing that Vela had come to visit the teacher. Right away, Madame and Isun and Singa rushed over to the teacher's house to track down Vela's whereabouts. Even though she was threatened and assaulted, the teacher bit her lip and took the pain, absolutely refusing to reveal that Vela had been there. Unable to get any information, Madame and Isun got furious. She coldly said that she let her off the hook last time because she saw the teacher was sick, but not this time. Immediately, she ordered her thugs to brutally beat Ms. Ragui. A heavy blow from one of the henchmen made the teacher collapse to the floor. Right at that moment, the heavy-set lady burst in. Madame and Isun immediately turned to interrogate her about where Vela was, since the woman herself had said earlier that Vela was there. Hearing those words, the teacher was incredibly heartbroken. Using the last bit of her strength, she asked why she would betray her friends. But the heavy-set lady coldly denied their relationship, claiming that Vela had never done anything to help her. She even urged the teacher to just spit it out if she knew where Vela was so they could be done with it. Too weak and way too disappointed by her ungrateful student, the teacher slowly faded away. When the heavy-set lady put her hand under the teacher's nose and realized she was no longer breathing, she went into a total panic. However, Madame and Isun was totally indifferent, not caring one bit whether the teacher lived or died. She turned and ordered Singa to clean up the scene, stage it as an accidental death, and pin all the blame on the greedy heavy-set woman. Hearing that, the heavy-set lady was so terrified that she fell to her knees, hugging Madame and Isun's legs and begging for her life. But Madame and Isun coldly rejected her. She stressed that someone who betrayed the very person who raised them would definitely betray her too, so there was absolutely no way she could let her live. In another development, Kieran called Peter and asked him to prepare a few things. When he came to pick them up and left, Ploy also just showed up at Peter's house. She came to ask if Vela was still alive or not. Peter was surprised and asked her back, saying she never liked Vela anyway, so what did her living or dying have to do with her? Ploy finally revealed her real reason. She said Vela was the only one who knew the real truth about her sister's death, because she had just heard from her own grandmother's mouth that her sister died from being poisoned, and if she wanted to know the truth, she should just go find Vela. Because of that, she desperately wanted to find Vela to find out everything. In an emotional moment, she grabbed Peter's hand and begged him, with tears constantly falling down her face. Seeing the girl he secretly had a crush on in so much pain, Peter couldn't hold back his feelings. He admitted that Vela was still alive, but also made it clear that he couldn't reveal where she was staying. He promised that when the time was right, Vela would come find Ploy herself. Hearing the truth, Ploy felt both relieved and emotional. She thanked Peter and then suddenly realized what she was doing since she was still holding his hand, making her feel shy and quickly let go. She awkwardly wiped her tears like a little kid. That cute action made Peter unconsciously smile. He gently handed her a tissue, and even said that seeing her cry made him feel like he was the one hurting her. As for Kieran, after getting the stuff from Peter, he immediately went to find Vela. However, he had no idea that his every move was being watched by Singa, because earlier Singa had his guys secretly plant a GPS tracker and a listening bug in his car. When Kieran got there, he couldn't find Vela anywhere. It wasn't until she came back from outside that he breathed a sigh of relief, but he immediately switched to being worried. He scolded her for going out on her own while things were so dangerous. Vela just reassured him that no one would spot her. Then she called him out, saying that up until now he hadn't really done anything for her, and his promises were still just words. Kieran quickly apologized, admitting he was too careless and thinking everything could be easily fixed. Vela told him he didn't need to carry everything on his shoulders for her, but Kieran firmly stated that no matter how many times he failed, he would do everything to protect her and keep his promise. He also warned her that Singa was hunting for her whereabouts, but he would absolutely protect her to the very end. Saying that, he pulled her into his arms to comfort her. Right at that moment, Madame and Isun and Singa followed the tracker and arrived at the place. But when they barged in, they didn't find anyone. What made things even more chaotic was that right after that, Singa suddenly saw a video of his wife getting intimate with Put. This sight made him fly into a complete rage. Madame and Isun quickly tried to calm him down, claiming it was just an edited video, but Singa couldn't accept this kind of humiliation. In reality, Kieran had figured out earlier that someone planted a tracker in his car, so he beat them at their own game, pretending he didn't know anything to fool them. Before leaving with Vela, he handed the device over to Rai and asked her to handle the rest. Rai was the one who put that video together. Earlier she had recorded the romantic scenes between Nun and Put, so now to protect her friend, she pulled it out as a counterattack. That very video was what made the relationship between Madame and Isun and Singa start to crack. After that, Kieran took Vela to a safe place, a quiet little house. He even cooked for her himself. Vela anxiously asked what would happen to his work and little Kita at home if he stayed here, but Kieran reassured her that everything was totally taken care of. He also told her to absolutely not go out on her own. After all the drama, the two of them finally had a warm and peaceful meal together. But that peace didn't last long. That night, Kieran got a call from Peter letting him know that Ms. Ragui's house had caught on fire, and the cause was believed to be a gas leak. By the time the rescue team got there, both the teacher and I had already passed away. Knowing well that if Vela found out, she would risk danger and rush out, Kieran immediately told Peter not to tell her. After ending the call, Vela popped up behind him, making him jump. When she asked what was going on, he just changed the subject, and even used the chance to confess his feelings, saying he loved her and was ready to do anything to keep her safe. Those sincere words deeply touched Vela, and she also comforted him, saying he had tried his best, and that having him and Kita around made her feel like she wasn't alone anymore. In that soft mood, the two shared a warm kiss. But in the middle of the night, while Kieran was sleeping, Vela accidentally answered his phone when P. Rai called. And then she received the devastating news that felt like a lightning strike. Ms. Ragui and him were dead. When Kieran woke up, Vela was incredibly angry. She realized that his earlier call with Peter wasn't about anything else but the teacher. He had intentionally hidden it from her, turning off her phone so she wouldn't know the truth. That was exactly why P. Rai had to call his phone. From her conversation with P. Rai, Vela also learned that the fire was no simple accident. A neighbor had seen a woman and a few guys show up right before the fire started, and one of them looked exactly like the son of the politician Sarah. This made Vela totally believe that Madam and I's-son and Singa were directly involved in her teacher's death. The pain of losing a loved one hadn't even faded yet before it was piled on by Kieran's lies. Vela completely broke down. She was hurting so much that she didn't want him to touch her anymore, as if a cold, invisible wall had just popped up between them. On the flip side, after watching the video P. Rai purposely sent, Singa was angry out of control. The moment he got home and saw Nun smiling and coming out to greet him, he got even colder and scarier. Without saying a single word, he walked straight into the kitchen, grabbed a pot of boiling soup and came back. At first he gently stroked her hair, but right after that, he suddenly pushed her head down and poured the hot soup straight onto Nun. Meanwhile, after hearing the news that her teacher had passed away, Vela immediately went to the hospital morgue to see her one last time. Standing in front of the body of the person who used to love her, she felt extreme pain, cried her eyes out, and swore she would absolutely make the people who hurt her teacher pay the price. Leaving there, Vela ran into Peter. He told her that Kieran saw she was missing, so he asked him to go find her. Hearing that, Vela got even madder and asked Peter to pass on the message that she didn't need Kieran to care about her anymore, and that she could take care of herself. Right when the two of them were arguing, Ploy showed up. He admitted that he was the one who tipped Ploy off so she could find Vela, because she had something important to ask. Ploy clearly stated her goal was to find out the truth about her sister's death. She promised to keep it a secret that she met with Vela, even from Grandma Nami. After that, Vela told her what she knew, which was that the doctor once said Ploy's sister's condition was recovering nicely, but then it suddenly took an unusually bad turn, making everything super sketchy. Vela also wondered why she had only passed away a few years ago, but the family had kept almost nothing related to her. At that moment, Ploy suddenly remembered that right after her sister died, she managed to save a few of her sister's keepsakes when the maid was about to throw them away under Madame and I's-son's orders. Among those things, she found some medicine that her sister used to take. Realizing this could be a major clue, Ploy decided to take that medicine in for testing. In another development, Put met up with Nun to ask her why she ditched him to marry Singa. When he accidentally touched her, the burn marks made her show obvious pain, causing Put to worry and ask her a ton of questions. Right at that moment, Singa showed up, boldly claiming that he could do whatever he wanted with his own wife. To avoid a fight, Nun quickly dragged him away. But the second they got home, Singa's crazy streak flared up again. He threw her onto the couch, slapped her hard and continued to beat her. Nun fought back in frustration, saying she wanted to go home, but he immediately dragged her back and even choked her, hitting her while threatening that he had helped her mom get rid of a lot of rivals, so now just a snap of his fingers would be enough to put her mom in danger. Luckily, right at that moment, Napat brought Nun's stuff over, spotted what was happening just in time, and managed to save her from Singa's hands. Right after that, Pat accidentally noticed a fresh burn mark on Nun's back, making his blood boil like a kettle. He immediately turned around and demanded to know what Singa did to her. But contrary to Pat's anger, Singa kept his arrogant attitude, coldly firing back that Pat was just a servant and had no right to stick his nose into his business. Not stopping there, he ordered two of his guys to drag Pat and throw him out like a piece of trash. In another development, Ploy brought her sister's medicine test results to meet Vela. She said the test results showed that most of the meds were for heart support, but there was one totally abnormal thing: potassium. For a normal person, taking a moderate amount wouldn't be dangerous, but for a patient with heart problems, it's extremely deadly. Ploy was even more certain that her sister's death wasn't an accident, but that someone had purposely swapped the meds to make her condition worse. Vela told her to keep the evidence super safe, waiting until everything cleared up, and then the truth would definitely be exposed. At the same time, Vela suddenly remembered a childhood memory of seeing Madame Nyssen giving her dad medicine to drink, and the blood test result paper from when her dad passed away also showed that the potassium level in his blood was abnormally high. After so many heartbreaking events, Vela went to the temple to pray for peace. But right when she was clearing her mind, she felt someone stepping up behind her. She immediately went on high alert, getting ready to defend herself. But when she turned around, she realized it was Kieran. He came to apologize and explain everything because he didn't want her to get the wrong idea, while also promising to step up and take care of the funerals for MS, Ragui and Im. However, Vela didn't want to accept his apology. She even coldly told him that he should mentally prepare for hundreds of other funerals, because his mom's wickedness would cause many more people to die. Kieran tried to push back, arguing that there was no evidence proving his mom was involved in the teacher's case. Right then, Pare showed up, revealing that a neighbor had seen Singa and a woman come to the teacher's house before the incident happened. Even so, Kieran still didn't buy it, claiming that couldn't prove it was his mom. At this point, Pare firmly stated that his mom was exactly a demon, and demons aren't that easy to catch. Saying that, she grabbed Vela's hand and walked away. Kieran quickly blocked them, telling Vela that if she needed any help, she should just let him know. But Vela's heart seemed totally shattered by all the trauma. She bluntly demanded that if he really wanted to help, he should sign the divorce papers. Hearing those words, Kieran froze and tears unconsciously fell. Those sharp, cold words cut into his heart like knives. The next day at the company, Madame Nyssen took advantage of Kieran not being around to hold a press conference, announcing she was passing the chairperson title to Nun. Faced with this super sudden decision, Nun looked panicked and kept saying she wasn't cut out for it. But Madame Nyssen not only ignored her but also tried hard to calm her down, insisting that Singa was behind the scenes taking care of everything. She also stressed that today, Nun would get both a perfect career and a perfect family. Hearing that, Nun's eyes got red. She was about to tell the truth about her miserable marriage, but before she could speak, her mom cut her off and forced her to step into the press conference. Painfully swallowing her tears, Nun had to turn away and keep playing the role of an obedient daughter. Seeing Nun's heartbroken back, Pat went to Madame Nyssen to tell her the truth that Nun was being abused by Singa. But in response, not only did she not believe it, she straight up slapped Pat across the face, claiming he was making things up out of jealousy of Singa. She totally chewed him out and called him a useless loser. Faced with that attitude, Pat warned her with a cold voice that if she refused to listen, she would definitely regret it one day. He also hinted that the secret relationship between her, him, and Nun would eventually be exposed. Hearing that, Madame Nyssen just gave a cold laugh, firing back that if that day really came, he shouldn't blame her for being ruthless. Somewhere else, Kieran was alone in his room, drowning in a messy mix of emotions over Vela's situation, when Ploy suddenly showed up. She came to give him some breaking news. Right at this moment at the company, his mom was throwing a press conference to completely wipe out his position and make Nun the chairperson. Hearing that, Kieran immediately rushed over to the company. However, as soon as he got to the gate, he was blocked by two of Singa's goons. They coldly announced that their boss had ordered not to let him set foot in the press conference. Not long after, Singa himself showed up, boldly declaring that he had no right to walk in today. Unable to keep their cool, the two of them got into a brawl. Right when things got tense, Nun ran over, quickly pulled them apart, and dragged Kieran somewhere else to avoid a bigger fight. In a private corner, Nun told Kieran that she didn't want to sit in the chairperson's seat either, but she couldn't go against their mom's wishes. However, if he told her to give everything back to Hat High, she absolutely would not agree. She also revealed that their mom was taking step by step to push Kieran out of the company, and the people who used to back him up were now turning their backs out of fear of Singa's power. Right at that moment, Min walked by and accidentally overheard the conversation. When she found out the person announced as the new chairperson wasn't Kieran but Nun, she was both shocked and pissed off. She said that if Kieran got kicked out, all her hard work up to now would go straight down the drain. Hearing this, Nun also started getting suspicious when Min let it slip about the things she had done to Vela. Being questioned, Min got mad and slipped up, making Kieran immediately demand to know the connection between her, his mom and Vela. But Min just turned her back and walked away. Kieran was about to chase after her to get to the bottom of it, but got blocked again by his mom's people, keeping him out of the press conference. Meanwhile, Min went looking for Madame Nyssen to confront her about Kieran getting kicked out of the company. She couldn't accept the fact that all her efforts to get rid of Vela, so she could marry Kieran, had now become totally pointless. But Madame Nyssen coldly replied that now she had Singa backing her up, Min had no more value to be used. She even warned that if Min didn't know how to shut her mouth, her fate would be just like Vela's. Min was so mad she was fuming, but couldn't do anything right now. While the tension was as hot as the Middle East, Nun showed up and pulled Madame Nyssen up to the stage because the press conference was about to start. In front of a ton of reporters, she flashed a bright smile and announced there would be a major update regarding the Sutta group. When a reporter asked if it was about the new chairperson, she nodded and said it was time for her to rest and hand over the power. She didn't forget to paint a pretty picture of her journey reviving the company with fancy words. But right at the climax, a reporter suddenly asked a question about another rumor, whether she planned to announce a personal relationship with someone. Right after that, an intimate photo of Madame Nyssen and Pat was leaked to the entire media. The whole room was shook. Madame Nyssen froze and Pat was left speechless too. The crowd of reporters immediately rushed over to swarm Pat. Seeing things were about to spiral out of control, Singa signaled his guys to quickly drag Pat away. Meanwhile, Madame Nyssen hurriedly cut the press conference short, using the excuse of moving on to business matters to dodge the scandal. Outside, Kieran, after being blocked from every entrance, had no choice but to turn away. But right at that moment he saw someone who looked exactly like Vela walking inside. He was stunned, not understanding what she was doing here. Meanwhile, Singa was having his guys handle Pat because he suspected he was the one who sent the photo to the press. But Pat completely denied it, swearing he would never do that because he didn't want to hurt Madame Nyssen and none. Right at this moment, Singa got a call from Madame Nyssen, and he told his mother-in-law that Pat refused to talk, asking her how to deal with it. Not wanting the trouble to spread, she coldly ordered Singa to take care of Pat cleanly. Hearing that, Pat panicked. In pure desperation, he fought back and ran for his life. Singa immediately ordered his guys to chase him. Pat ran for his life out onto the street, but unluckily got hit by a white car and rolled right onto the road. Coincidentally, Peter and Ploy had also just arrived at the hotel for the press conference, but because there was no parking left in the front, they had to loop around to the back and accidentally witnessed the accident. Both of them immediately ran over and called for an ambulance. As for Singa's crew, seeing that the situation was drawing a lot of attention, they quickly bolted to avoid getting caught. Inside the press conference, after temporarily getting things under control, Madame Nyssen quickly regained her cool. She calmed Nun down and brought her back on stage like nothing ever happened. In front of a huge crowd of reporters, she announced she was stepping down from the company and officially handing the chairperson position to Nun. To boost everyone's confidence, she asked to play a video showing the achievements Nun had made during her time working. However, when the big screen turned on, the content that played was totally out of left field. It wasn't Nun's highlight reel. Instead, a strange girl popped up and bluntly accused that the fatal hit-and-run accident from before wasn't caused by her, but by Nun. The whole room was instantly in shock. Nun stood frozen on stage, her face pale, shaking in front of a barrage of questions from the press. Seeing the situation slipping out of control, Madame Nyssen hastily announced the end of the press conference. Right at that moment, the doors to the hall suddenly burst open. Vela and Kieran walked in. In the middle of the chaos, she loudly declared that this press conference was not over yet. To everyone's shock, Vela announced that she came here not just as Kieran's wife, but also as the daughter of Mr. Taethong and Mrs. Kitini lying. Every word she said rang out clear and firm. She was hat-high lying. The whole room practically exploded. Madame Nyssen stood on stage, shaking with anger. The reporters immediately fired off questions, because according to previous info, Mr. Tae's daughter had passed away a long time ago. Vela calmly replied that she was still alive. She just changed her name to Gon Vela before being sent to New Zealand. Today she returned to prove that the legal heir to the lying family still exists. When a reporter asked if Kieran and Madame Nyssen knew this truth, Kieran stepped up and answered that he had known Vela was hat-high since before they got married, and he wanted to give back everything belonging to the lying family to the rightful heir. The reporters kept pressing about the time Vela was missing, but she smoothly brushed it off, saying she would hold another press conference to share the details. But for today, everyone should focus on the people standing on stage. Hearing that, the reporters immediately turned to Madame Nyssen and Nun, pressuring Nun to speak up about the video they just saw. Nun was so panicked she could barely stand. Kieran was about to step up and help his sister but was held back by Vela. She coldly said it was time for Nun to face the truth. After that, thanks to Singa stepping in, Madame Nyssen and Nun finally escaped the swarm of questions and left the stage. Later, Kieran pulled Vela aside to talk privately, but before their argument could go far, Madame Nyssen showed up. Right after that, Madame Nyssen straight up shoved Kieran outside and locked the door. In the locked room, she furiously warned Vela not to even dream of taking back anything, not even a single dime. In response, Vela kept a terrifyingly calm vibe. She stated that she had every right to claim everything back, because she was Mr. Tae's only daughter. If necessary, Madame Nyssen could go get a DNA test for her and conveniently test Nun while she was at it. Backed into a corner, Madame Nyssen switched to making threats, bringing up the murder charge Vela was carrying. But Vela didn't flinch at all. She declared that if the cops got involved, she had enough proof to show she was innocent, and at the same time had tons of evidence exposing Madame Nyssen's crimes. Hearing that, she completely lost control and lunged forward to choke her. Even in that dangerous spot, Vela still flashed a challenging smile, making the woman go even crazier. Outside, Kieran was desperately trying to open the door. When he managed to bust in, he saw his mom choking Vela. He immediately pulled her off and demanded to know what she was trying to do. But Madame Nyson turned around and blamed him, claiming he was helping an outsider hurt his own mom and sister. Stuck between family and love, Kieran was caught between a rock and a hard place. After that, she stormed off in a huff. With a sad face, Kieran asked Vela what else she wanted him to do, sarcastically saying what else he could do to help her hurt his family even more. But Vela just coldly replied that his words meant nothing, then warned him that he would regret it later when he found out the whole truth about his family. Right at that moment, Kieran got a call from Peter saying that Pat just got into an accident and was at the hospital. Without hesitating, he immediately took off. Right after that, Pere showed up to check on how Vela was doing. Vela said that right now she was super confused and didn't know what to do next. Pere let her know the lawyer said that because she willingly went to the cops regarding Madame Nyson's case, she got bailed out, but to prove she was totally clean, she needed solid evidence. At the same time, Pere also revealed she suspected Min was holding on to crucial evidence, because earlier in the restroom, she saw Min acting super sketchy and angry when Madame Nyson was mentioned. After that, using her status as a reporter, she gave Min her business card and told her to reach out if she ever needed help. Meanwhile, after reading the endless news about yesterday's press conference, Nun started panicking and totally lost it. The heavy pressure forced her to take anti-anxiety meds just to stay calm. Right then, Put unexpectedly came to visit. Seeing him, Nun immediately panicked and demanded he leave right away before Singa got back. But Put just simply thought he was only coming to visit her and wasn't he doing anything wrong, so there was nothing to be scared of. He had no idea that his showing up would accidentally push Nun into an even more dangerous situation. Not long after Singa came back, in front of Put, he purposely acted all affectionate with Nun like a perfect husband. But Put was sharp enough to notice the look of fear in Nun's eyes when Singa hugged her. After Put left, Nun hurriedly chased after Singa to explain that there was nothing going on between her and Put. He just simply came to visit her. However, Singa didn't answer. He slowly walked over to the golf clubs, pulled one out and walked toward Nun. Seeing that, Nun ran away in terror, but unluckily tripped and fell. Instantly, he lunged at her and beat her mercilessly, even forcing her to kneel at his feet. In that moment, Nun didn't see a husband anymore, but a guy acting like a literal demon. In total desperation, Nun called her mom for help. Hearing her daughter begging for help, Madame Nyson rushed over. Seeing his mom looking worried, Kieran asked what happened to Nun, but Madame Nyson didn't tell him the truth. When she saw her daughter's face covered in bruises, it broke her heart, and she remembered the words Pat had said earlier. Nun cried and begged to leave this place, even wanting to divorce Singa. She claimed she had proof of the abuse and was ready to go to the cops, but Singa stayed super calm, even sarcastically saying he had already wiped out any videos that could be used against him. He smoothly reminded Madame Nyson that he had helped her a lot, hinting that she should know her place, or else don't blame him for being ruthless. Torn between her own interests and her daughter, Madame Nyson ultimately chose the cruelest way. She told Nun to keep enduring it for the sake of the family and business. Those words cut into Nun's heart like a knife. In pain and despair, she took off her shirt to reveal a huge burn mark on her body, a scar caused by Singa himself. Seeing the injury, Madame Nyson froze. In that moment, the memories of what she had done to Vela in the past came rushing back, like a haunting reflection. Somewhere else, feeling too heartbroken over her sister's death, Ploy went out to the riverbank to clear her head. By chance, Peter came looking for her. He said Vela couldn't get in touch with her and was really worried. At first, Ploy acted annoyed, thinking he only came because he wanted to get answers for Vela. But Peter honestly admitted he came because he cared about her. He knew she was lonely and hurting. He gently advised her to share her sadness with him, because right now it seemed like no one really cared about her anymore. Not even her grandma. Ploy asked him what he would do if he were in her shoes and found out his sister's death might be tied to his brother-in-law, a guy she used to trust a lot. She also admitted that one thing making her anxious was that if Kieran was involved in her sister's death, it would be a massive shock, because she used to really trust him. Peter said he really trusted his friend, because earlier he had heard Kieran say that even though he married Jinjok according to Madame Nyson's wishes, she was the biggest joy in his life. Even so, Peter promised that if it was true, he would help her bring Kieran to justice. He also said that if she didn't trust Kieran, then please trust him. Those sincere words really touched Ploy. She let Peter pull her into a hug, like finding a shoulder to lean on during a rough time. The next day, Ploy brought the medicine test results to meet Kieran and Vela. She laid out the proof showing that her sister's meds had enough potassium to be lethal to someone with heart issues, and the killer's fingerprints were still on the pills. She demanded that Kieran figure out how to handle it since this was tied to his family. However, Kieran replied in a cautious, almost cold way, saying he wouldn't jump to any conclusions without solid proof. That answer made Ploy feel hurt, like he was defending his family and treating her like a liar. In a fit of anger, she snatched back the test results, declared she would find the truth herself to clear her sister's name, and stormed off. Peter hurriedly went after her. After that, Peter brought her back to meet Kieran. This time, Ploy was calmer and took the initiative to apologize to Kieran for being a bit hot-headed. She admitted that from his point of view, She understood that matters involving family needed clear evidence. After leaving the cafe, Vela met up with her best friend Pere. Right as the two of them were getting ready to head to the car, two guys in black suddenly rolled up on a motorcycle and pulled a gun on Vela. Without thinking twice, Pere immediately used her body to shield Vela and took 2 bullets. The guy on the back was about to shoot again, but the gun jammed at the crucial moment. Right then, Kieran saw something was wrong and quickly ran over, causing the two strangers to panic and speed off. Vela frantically hugged Pere, begging Kieran to call an ambulance. With her weak breath, Pere only had time to say that maybe she could only help Vela up to this point, and she should rely on Kieran for the rest, before she slowly faded away. Vela was in absolute agony as all their beautiful memories came rushing back. Her tears fell non-stop as her best friend passed away right in her arms. Peter and Ploy standing nearby couldn't hold back their heartbreak either. The people behind the hit were exactly Madame Nyssen and Singa. When Madame Nyssen asked about the result of the hit, Singa said Vela was still alive, but Pere was wiped out. Singa said that even though they didn't hit their main target, they basically cut off one of Vela's strong arms. Madame Nyssen then demanded to take Nun home to care for her, but Singa refused, even saying that Nun was just his toy. He also said that marrying a spoiled, bratty rich girl was his dream, and now seeing Nun's begging face when asking for her life made him feel super satisfied. Those insulting words made Madame Nyssen both heartbroken and furious. Madame Nyssen was so mad she was grinding her teeth. While the blood was rushing to her head, she spotted the golf club, the exact one Singa used earlier to beat Nun, and a crazy idea popped into her head. When Singa turned around and dropped more cruel words about how Nun had to kneel at his feet, Madame Nyssen's limit was completely broken. She charged at him, using the club to beat Singa non-stop until he lay motionless in a pool of blood. When she snapped out of it and saw the scene in front of her, she panicked and quickly grabbed a shirt to wipe her fingerprints off the club. At the police station, Vela was in extreme pain over losing her friend. Ploy brought her some clothes to change into. When she went to the restroom, she got a call from a strange number. It was Madame Nyssen. She said Singa was the guy behind Pere's death, and if she wanted proof, she needed to go to his house right away, but demanded she come alone. At the same time, Madame Nyssen took Nun away from the crime scene. Nun walked down the stairs, saw Singa lying completely still, covered in blood, and totally freaked out. In the car, Madame Nyssen admitted that she was the one who took Singa out, saying that from now on, he could never hurt her again. Then she told Nun to stay put in the car, and no matter what happened, she absolutely couldn't say a word about what she just saw. After that, she got out of the car and secretly called the cops, making up a story that someone was threatening to kill her son-in-law, and asking the cops to get to the scene right away. In a state of extreme panic, Nun hallucinated and thought she saw Singa right in front of her, so she got scared and ran out of the car. Madame Nyssen finished her call and turned around to find Nun missing from the car, which totally panicked her. Right at that moment, the police car arrived, so she hurriedly led the cops into the scene. When the cops got there, the person standing next to Singa's body was actually Nun, not Vela like Madame Nyssen had planned. Before that, when Vela was about to go into the house alone, Kieran managed to call and stop her, asking her to wait for him so they could go in together, which totally ruined Madame Nyssen's frame-up plan. Because they were at the scene, Kieran and Vela were brought to the station for questioning. The cops said Nun was in a state of severe mental breakdown and had been taken to the hospital. Vela stated that Madame Nyssen was the one who called her over, and she suspected Singa was already dead before Madame Nyssen called her. Meanwhile, Madame Nyssen was so panicked she didn't even dare to give a statement. She just stood outside the door listening in before quickly leaving. Back home, she almost went crazy, even trying to take her own life, but Kieran and Vela found her and stopped her. She blamed Vela for being the reason everything fell apart. Right then, Kieran broke the news that Nun had turned herself in, confessing that she was the one who killed Singa. At the police station, Nun claimed that she took Singa out because she couldn't handle the abuse anymore. Hearing that, Madame Nyssen lost control even more. She immediately admitted she was the real culprit and pulled out a pre-written confession. But Kieran said that wasn't enough. She had to turn herself in directly to save Nun. Kieran saw his mom was agitated, so he hugged her. But even during that sweet emotional moment, Madame Nyssen was still cooking up a plan to hurt Vela. She reached for a gun, shoved Kieran aside, and planned to take Vela down with her. Kieran managed to step in front of Vela, ready to face the barrel of the gun. He said that if there was a next life, he still wanted to be her son as a way to make amends. Those words made the mother's heart waver. Finally, Madame Nyssen dropped the gun and decided to turn herself in, putting an end to the string of tragedies she had caused herself. The next day at the police station, Madame Nyssen, looking totally out of it, willingly confessed, confirming that she was the one who killed Singa, not Nun. She also said that Nun confessing was just because she took too many antidepressants, so her mind was unstable and she was just talking nonsense. However, the cops seemed pretty suspicious. They pointed out that at the crime scene, there were only 3 people: Madame Nyssen, Nun, and Singa, but the house cameras were broken, and the murder weapon didn't have her fingerprints on it at all. So they demanded she provide clear evidence to prove she was the killer. Faced with that situation, Madame Nyssen pulled out her proof. her car's dashcam. She said that right after the murder happened, she put Nun in the car, and during that time, she admitted out of her own mouth that she killed Singa. After Madame Nyssen confessed, Nun was let go. As soon as she walked out, she saw Kieran and Vela already waiting. Unable to hold back her feelings, she ran over to hug her brother, crying her eyes out and saying their mom did everything to protect her. The three of them left the police station together. But right when they hit the door, they were swarmed by a bunch of reporters who kept firing off questions about the case. Right at that moment, Mr. Sarah showed up. He declared that his son was dead, and he wasn't going to let things end easily. He would absolutely get justice. But surprisingly, a female reporter brought up the fact that Singa was the exact guy who ordered the hit on the reporter. The hitman confessed that Singa was the one who gave the order. The vibe instantly got super tense. Vela added that before demanding justice for his son, he should look back at the crime Singa had committed. The hitman who killed Pare also used to work for him, and the female reporter was actually investigating corruption cases tied to him. She coldly warned that sooner or later, the cops would call him in for questioning. Not stopping there, Vela brought up how Singa had brutally abused Nun, then sarcastically said that that cruelty was probably inherited straight from his dad. Having his ego struck, Mr. Sarah went crazy and tried to lunge at Vela, but Kieran stopped him in time, reminding him this was a police station so he better not try anything stupid. After that, Kieran and Vela took Nun back home. At home, Vela tried to give Nun some space to calm down. When she was about to leave, Nun suddenly called her back and apologized. Vela gently replied that Nun didn't need to beat herself up, but also reminded her that she needed to understand her actions had hurt a lot of people. She couldn't just stay quiet and run away from it. Hearing that, Nun started crying, admitting she was a coward for letting everything spiral out of control. But now she decided to face it and take responsibility for all her mistakes. She bowed her head to apologize to Vela one more time, but this time, the way she addressed her changed. She called Vela sister. Being called that made Vela emotional. She said that no matter what happened, she still saw Nun as her little sister, and didn't hold a grudge for what Nun had done. That exact forgiveness made Nun regret it even more. She confessed that she had known Vela's true identity for a long time, but didn't have the guts to say it. Not only that, she also knew her mom had done a lot of wrong things to Vela, and she herself shared some of the blame. Choking back tears, Nun recounted the story from years ago, when Vela almost died at the orphanage. She was the one who gave the card Vela sent Kieran to their mom, which made Madame Nyssen discover her whereabouts. Even though she didn't know everything her mom did, Nun understood that it definitely wasn't anything good. She also said that Kieran truly loved Vela, even if he never said it out loud. Vela also admitted she loved Kieran, but never dared to confess. Finally, Vela decided to go see Kieran to tell him how she felt. However, before she could even say a word, Kieran spoke first. He handed her the divorce papers and said that after his mom's case was over, he would give back everything belonging to the lying family to Vela, just like he promised. Then Kieran asked Vela what she was about to say earlier. She just quietly swallowed her words of love, saying that after everything was over, she would tell him a truth. Then she turned around and walked away, leaving behind a silent pain. After everything, Vela put everything back right where it belonged. She hung her parents' picture back up in the house, as if she could feel them right there beside her. She had won back what belonged to her family, but inside, she felt completely empty, because the one thing she couldn't do was tell Kieran how she truly felt. Because he was so worried, Put went all the way to her house to see Nun, but she refused, not wanting to face him. Even so, from upstairs, Nun still peeked down, watching his every move. Seeing that she didn't want to meet him, Put didn't give up. He purposely asked the maid to pass on the message that he would keep coming until she agreed to see him, and his love for her was still exactly the same as day one. The next day, the trial for Madame Nyssen's South case officially took place. Nun was called up to the stand to testify. She stated that on the day of Singa's murder, she had taken too many pills, so her mind was foggy and she couldn't remember everything clearly. However, she made it clear that if her mom did take Singa out, it was only to protect her, because earlier he had repeatedly abused and humiliated her right in front of her mom. All the injuries on her body were caused by him. Hearing that helpful testimony, Madame Nyssen couldn't hide a satisfied smile. Because she was tied to the case, Vela was also summoned by the court. She testified that on the day of the incident, Madame Nyssen had called her, but she suspected Singa was already dead before the time of that call. When asked about the point of the call, Vela claimed she wanted to frame her. Vela's lawyer then presented the autopsy evidence, showing that Singa's time of death was extremely close to the time of the call, backing up her suspicions. Not only that, the lawyer also argued that this could be a premeditated murder aimed at setting someone up, rather than just a spur-of-the-moment act out of anger. Seeing the bad situation, Madame Nyssen's lawyer immediately pushed back, claiming that because Vela and Madame Nyssen used to have beef, her testimony wasn't reliable. In response, Vela's side announced they would call a new witness. Min walked into the courtroom, making Madame Nyssen jump. She came to help Vela because before Pare passed away, She had gone to meet Min and asked her to team up to take Madame Nyssen down. In court, Min testified that Madame Nyssen had lured her in by saying if she wanted to marry her son Kieran, she had to help frame Vela. To prove what she just said, she played an audio recording of the conversation between her and Madame Nyssen. With clear evidence, the court sentenced Madame Nyssen to 20 years in prison. However, what shocked everyone was that her sentence got cut in half because of her remorseful attitude and cooperation with the investigation. In contrast to everyone's confusion, Madame Nyssen actually looked satisfied, even turning to the other side to sarcastically say that no matter how hard they tried to find evidence, they couldn't do anything to her. Before leaving, she even flashed a wicked smile. Even though she was super sad, Vela accepted the court's ruling. But Ploy said that things weren't over yet, because next it would be her turn to strike back. In prison, Madame Nyssen was calculating a plan to reduce her sentence when her lawyer suddenly announced there was a more urgent matter. Ploy had filed a request to reopen Jinjak's case because she suspected Madame Nyssen had poisoned her sister. This news left Madame Nyssen completely speechless. 2 months later, Jinjak's case was reopened. In court, Ploy stated that her sister was poisoned to death. The pills she bought for her sister were the exact evidence and she still kept them. After her sister passed away, Madame Nyssen ordered people to throw all her stuff away, but she secretly kept this medicine. The maid who took care of Jinjak also testified that Madame Nyssen frequently grabbed the medicine herself to give to her daughter-in-law. The test results showed that among the pills, there was one containing potassium, an extremely dangerous substance for people with heart problems that would never be prescribed by a hospital. The lawyer claimed someone had swapped the pills. After that, the lawyer also brought out a fingerprint test from the pills to make it more convincing. But surprisingly, the examiner testified in court that the fingerprints on the pill didn't match Madame Nyssen, leaving everyone stunned. She immediately flashed a calculating smile, but seemingly prepared in advance, Ploy's lawyer announced they would call a new witness, someone who could explain why Madame Nyssen's fingerprints weren't on those pills. All eyes locked on the courtroom door. The person who walked in was exactly Napat. Before that, because Napat was scared of being wiped out by Madame Nyssen, he purposely spread rumors that he was badly injured, at risk of being in a vegetative state, and couldn't wake up. Thanks to that, he secretly laid low. After that, convinced by Peter, Napat decided to show up in court to testify, not just about Jinjak's case but also to expose the truth about Vela's parents' deaths. In court, Napat testified that the reason Madame Nyssen's fingerprints weren't on the pills was because he was the one who swapped them. This didn't just happen once. Before that, he had done the same thing to Mr. Tethong, Madame Nyssen's late husband. When the lawyer asked if his testimony was true, he would have to take the fall for both the current and past cases. Napat accepted without hesitating, saying he was ready to pay the price for everything he had done. Not stopping there, he also brought out an audio recording proving Madame Nyssen once ordered him to eliminate Madame Katini and even had high, meaning Vela when she was little. Napat admitted he was once manipulated by Madame Nyssen using her charm, making him loyally serve her. But in return, he was never acknowledged or appreciated. Even when she had Singa's help, she planned to wipe him out to silence him. That was exactly when he realized Madame Nyssen had never loved or valued him. Napat also exposed Madame Nyssen's cruelty, showing that for personal gain, she was willing to marry off her own daughter to an evil guy. Saying this, he turned to look at Nun, his voice choking up as he admitted he wanted to spill everything because he didn't want his daughter to suffer anymore from her selfish mom. Unable to handle this shock, Nun burst into tears and ran out of the courtroom. Seeing she wasn't in a stable state, Vela and Kieran immediately chased after her. Outside the courtroom, Kieran and Vela told Nun the truth that Napat was her biological dad. Kieran had secretly gotten a DNA test to confirm it, while Vela had known about it for a long time, because Madame Nyssen and Napat had a relationship since she first stepped into the lying family. Back in the courtroom, Napat continued to confess that he had killed a lot of people under Madame Nyssen's orders, including Rit, Madame Nyssen's close maid, Madame Katini, Mr. Tethong, and even Jinjak. Saying that, he burst into tears and late tears of regret fell. He asked to take full responsibility before the law. Before being taken away by the cops, Napat turned to beg Vela to take care of his daughter for him. Meanwhile, Madame Nyssen kept her arrogant attitude, declaring no one could touch her and even throwing out threats that everyone better watch their backs if she got out. After everything that just went down, Peter and Vela went to the temple together to pray for peace. Vela had a heavy heart after the back-to-back tragedies. Peter gently hugged her to comfort her. But right at that moment, Ploy just walked up and saw this scene. A wave of jealousy flared up, and she immediately turned away in anger. Realizing the situation, Vela quickly told Peter to chase after Ploy, because she wanted the two of them to be happy. Peter immediately ran after his girl. Ploy acted mad, flashing a super fake smile and saying thanks for helping reopen her sister's case before turning away. But Peter stopped her, saying he didn't just want to thank you, he also wanted her by his side, not just for today but for his whole life. After using all his flirting skills for a bit, his sincerity finally made Ploy cool down. In prison, Madame Nyssen looked happy when Nun and Kieran came to visit. She reassured them that when she got out, she would explain everything. But Nun's answer left her speechless. She said this would be the last time she came to visit, because she couldn't accept the crimes her mom had committed. Nun also firmly stated that she shouldn't use protecting her kids as an excuse to justify her wrongdoings, because they didn't need things built on sins. Finally, she begged her mom to tell the truth and take responsibility for everything. To find a way to get away with it, Madame Nison's lawyer secretly gave her a packet of pills, telling her to take them and fake a chronic illness that needed long-term treatment, so she could have a chance to get out. Trusting this plan, Madame Nison didn't doubt it at all, and immediately took one pill. But as soon as the pill kicked in, she felt intense pain in her body. The pain spread fast, making her convulse, her eyes roll back, and then she collapsed to the floor motionless. Spending her whole life plotting to hurt people, she never expected the pill she just took to actually be poison. It turned out the lawyer had been bought off by Grandma Nami and Mr. Sarah. Both of them had family members who were harmed by Madame Nison, so they took the chance while she was locked up to get their revenge. Madame Nison's South funeral took place right after that in a gloomy vibe. Ploy said that her grandma had forgiven Madame Nison. Vela also said softly that she didn't hold any grudges anymore. Nun held her mom's picture, speaking for her to say thanks because everyone had let go of their hate. In the middle of the grieving vibe, Min showed up looking arrogant, sarcastically saying Madame Nison's death was pure karma. Those harsh words made everyone uncomfortable, but immediately Ploy clapped back saying that if it was karma, then maybe Min was suffering from it too because her family went bankrupt, and she herself was struggling trying to sell herself everywhere but nobody cared. Having a nerve struck, Min got mad and lunged forward to start trouble, but got blocked by Ploy's boyfriend, so she had to walk away fuming. After that, Peter turned to scold Ploy for being too mean-mouthed, but got immediately clapped back by her. Faced with the sharp glare of his boss lady, Peter could only laugh it off and quickly save himself by saying he actually liked her like that. That line instantly made Ploy look visibly smug. After taking care of the funeral, Kieran had his lawyer prep the contract and returned all the wealth belonging to the lying family to Vela, basically finishing the mission he promised from the beginning of the movie until now. He softly said he kept his word, but in response, Vela just quietly took off the wedding ring on her finger, placed it on the table, being so calm that it made the person across from her hurt even more. She said she also had something to give back. That action was like a clear period being placed at the end, making Kieran's heart shatter, but he still tried to fake a smile, the kind of smile where you look at it and know he is claiming he is fine, but he is totally not fine. Stepping outside, Vela ran into little Kita. Hearing the news that she was leaving, he quickly ran over with red eyes, tears welling up. He said besides his dad, the person he loved the most was her, and even dropped a secret that everyone already knew but still found touching: that his dad loved her a lot. Those innocent words hitting right in the feels made Vela unable to hold back her tears. She hugged the boy tightly, choking up as she said she loved his dad too, and she loved him too. But maybe because she was scared that if she stalled even a little bit she would go soft and turn back, she hurriedly left before her brain got overruled by her heart. In the office, Kieran sat silently staring at Vela's ring. The vibe was so quiet you could probably hear a pin drop. As if suddenly realizing that if he was even a second late he'd lose her forever, he jumped up and dashed out at the speed of light. But sadly, by the time he got there, the elevator doors had already closed with perfect dramatic movie timing. Vela had left, leaving behind a short missed connection moment that was haunting enough to last a long time. As for Nun, after everything, she also had to pay the price for her past mistakes. In prison, Put visited her regularly like clockwork. When Nun asked if he was tired of constantly coming back and forth like that, Put just softly replied that visiting the person he loves is nothing to be tired of, sounding simple but definitely earning all the romance points. He said he would wait for her, wait until the day she got out, a promise that wasn't overly fancy but super trustworthy. After officially locking in their relationship, Peter and Ploy's lives took a turn so fast that anyone looking at it had to laugh. Ploy naturally became a literal queen, while Peter got promoted to a dedicated unpaid servant. Sitting there massaging his girl's legs and arms, Peter's heart was as happy as a festival. Ploy even complained that she was working so much lately that she was incredibly tired, sounding super sincere. Hearing that, Peter was just as serious, suggesting that maybe he should postpone his proposal plans since he saw she was too tired. Right when she heard that, Ploy instantly got her HP fully restored. She bounced up with bright eyes, double-checked the info, and then rushed him to propose quickly so she could conveniently take care of him for the long run, a smooth U-turn full of calculation. Right at that moment, Kieran showed up and announced he had opened a new company. Ploy happily congratulated him on becoming the CEO, then smoothly signaled Peter to give an update on Vela's situation. Getting the hint immediately, Peter said that after getting everything back, Vela had handed over the company's operating power to the board of directors and wasn't going back to the lying family anymore. The two also didn't forget to play matchmaker one last time, advising Kieran to follow his heart because way too much time had passed already. Hearing that, Kieran didn't hesitate anymore and immediately ran off to find Vela, this time determined not to miss his chance ever again. At this time, Vela was at Ms. Raguia's orphanage. When seeing the girl he loved again, Kieran bluntly stated that maybe in the past she didn't want to see him, but from now on he would always show up right in front of her. He also couldn't keep pretending he could live without her by his side. Vela also admitted that even though she got everything back, she still didn't feel happy. The lack of him and Kita made her always feel lonely. However, she didn't dare to go back because their relationship started from lies and deceit, and she was scared she would hurt him all over again. Under the streetlights, in a scene that only needed some background music to hit peak emotions, Kieran suggested they start over from scratch. No more lies, no more cheating, and absolutely no more secrets. This time Vela didn't turn him down anymore. She agreed, and at the same time admitted that she loved him so much she didn't want to keep lying to her own heart. Finally Kieran said I love you and gave her a ring, which wasn't just proof of their love, but also the sign of a brand new start, an upgraded, drama-free version. As time went by, everything slowly changed, but one thing stayed the exact same. Those once broken hearts finally learned how to love and be loved. And honestly, maybe it wasn't just them, but all of us who had been waiting for this happy ending moment for a really long time.